Hey everybody, tonight we're debating whether or not Islam is dangerous to the world, and we are starting right now with Apostate Prophet's opening statement. Thanks so much for being with us, Apostate Prophet. The floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, James, and thanks to the Muslim Apologist for this debate, and hello everybody. Just recently, an incident happened. A renowned author, Salman Rushdie, was brutally attacked by a religious Muslim who had the intention to kill Salman Rushdie. I want to quickly share my screen here. It's funny. Give me a second. All right. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place right now. I'm going to share my screen over here. Right, that's right. Okay. I guess you can see this.
Now they can, yes.
Okay, so author Salman Rushdie was recently attacked by a religious Muslim who had the intention to kill Salman Rushdie. And when Salman Rushdie did not die, it was in fact, the attacker did in fact point out that, that he's very surprised that Salman Rushdie did not die. So he had the clear intention to kill him. This devout Muslim who intended to kill Salman Rushdie did this for his religion. He had the mission to kill Salman Rushdie and to be rewarded and respected by his religious leaders and authorities. This has to do with the Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran, who ordered this attack on Salman Rushdie. He wanted Salman Rushdie killed. But the issue is that this is, of course, not just about Iran and about Shia Muslims, which is the case here. We have many such incidents where people go around and try to harm and kill individuals who offend Islam, or who offend Muhammad, or who offend the Muslims. We have many more examples. Just recently, a woman was brutally attacked, brutally lynched and killed for allegedly disrespecting Muhammad in Nigeria. A woman called Farhunda Malikzada was in recent times brutally lynched. The footage is horrible. It can't be shown here for similar honor-related things. Mashal Khan, who was a student in Pakistan, was lynched and brutally killed because he allegedly committed blasphemy and, said some things about Islam, like that it's not true, for example. Everyone remembers the Charlie Hebdo attacks. People were brutally murdered simply for drawing cartoons. In recent times, even a teacher, Samuel Paty, he was brutally killed in front of the school where he taught, not even for supporting anything, but simply for showing cartoons in order to discuss the subject of freedom of speech. For that act, Samuel Paty in France was brutally beheaded in public for offending Islam. This is a reality, and the issue is that this is not something that is simply that is just happening today. It is something that leads back to Muhammad himself. Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, is considered the perfect human to ever walk the face of the earth. Islam has something unique, which is that Islam has a book which is supposedly authored by the Almighty Allah, who knows everything, and the commands in that book are valid for all times. And Muhammad is supposed to be the perfect messenger for all times. Everyone is supposed to imitate him and follow him and glorify him, do whatever he does, do whatever he says, and abstain from whatever he tells you to abstain. Muhammad was a prophet who had a mob with him and who commanded the killing of people who hurt him. In this quote, he says, "Who is willing to kill Ka'b bin Ashraf, who has hurt Allah and his apostle?" Don't ask me how you can hurt the Almighty Allah. What is being said here is obviously that offense was caused, which is why Muhammad asks for that person to be killed, which was, of course, done later on. When it comes to more incidents, more examples of Muhammad ordering such killings, not sure if you can, do you see this right now, the website? Okay. So Muhammad was very explicit in his mission. He said, for example, I have been commanded to fight against the people till they testify that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is Allah's slave and messenger. He had the very clear mission to not be peaceful, not spread peace, not say, hey, let's not fight, let's stop fighting, let's spread a beautiful belief, a beautiful new system. No, he came with the explicit intention to fight and to convert people. He was somebody who prophesied. In fact, this is a prophecy that is very well known throughout the Muslim world. He said that the hour will not be established until you fight the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, "O Muslim, there is a Jew behind me, so kill him." Muslims globally know this. This is Muhammad's prophecy. He says that the hour will not be established until this happens. So this must happen. Muslims must fight the Jews and kill them all. And even the rocks and stones will say, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him. People tell that to each other throughout the Muslim world. Muhammad also famously said that whoever changes his Islamic religion should be killed. Islam has an apostasy law that is very widely known, which Muslim scholars across the Islamic schools have established and followed. People like me who leave Islam are supposed to be killed according to the Islamic religion and jurisprudence. Now, okay. Of course, Muhammad's words are not the only problem here. When it comes to the Quran, we can also find in Quran chapter 9, verse 29, which is one of my favorite Quran verses, to be honest, that the Quran commands the following: fight against those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, and who do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion of truth, Islam, from those who were given the scripture. So, those who don't believe in Allah, in the last day, in Muhammad, and those among the people of the scripture, meaning the Christians and Jews who don't adopt Islam, are supposed to be fought, according to the Quran, until they give the jizya, which is an Islamic concept, which is basically protection money. You subjugate the opponents, the disbelievers. They pay protection money to you, in exchange for their life as a subject, as second-class citizens in your empire. And if they don't pay that, then they are basically fair game. And it says, until they give the jizya while they are humbled. It was always known in Islamic history that this is not merely a tax, but protection money imposed on the disbelievers in order to humiliate them and make use of them as subjects, because they are not equal to Muslims who just pay taxes. The Quran further very often describes disbelievers in extremely dehumanizing and insulting ways. For example, of course, a Muslim apologist would come and say, "Oh, this is just descriptive." But it says that Allah created for hell many of the humans and the jinn, which are mythical beings that don't exist. And it further says that they are like livestock. Rather, they are more astray. Further, it says in other Quran verses that those who disbelieve among the people of the scripture, meaning Jews and Christians, and the polytheists will be in hell forever. Those are the worst of creatures. It says the similar things in other verses as well. It repeatedly describes the disbelievers, those who don't believe in Islam, as basically lowly creatures which deserve no dignification. This is what Islam is. Now, we talked about the recent incident with Salman Rushdie, where a religious Muslim tried to kill him and did not succeed. This is not something that happens across the religious globe. It is something that is unique to Islam. It is only Islam which constantly and repeatedly sends shockwaves throughout the world by taking lives and attacking people in public. For example, a very simple challenge. I know some people will come and say, "But what about what happened in Spain in the 15th century?" Well, here's a very simple challenge. Give me one example in today's time of somebody being attacked brutally with the intention to kill, or somebody being killed because they offended a different religion other than Islam, and Muslims throughout and those people throughout their religious group actually celebrated it. You cannot find a single example. In the case of Salman Rushdie, for example, Salman Rushdie was attacked with the intention of killing him, and this is justified and celebrated or excused by Muslims across the world. If you want to pull up the public opinion on this, you will see that Muslims justify it, refuse to condemn it, and most Muslims on social media will end up celebrating it. You cannot find an example of such a thing anywhere across religions. It simply does not exist. Yes, you may find some oppression that happened 500 years ago in Europe. You might find other things that happened 2,000 years ago, human sacrifice, whatever it is. But we're talking about right now. Is Islam dangerous right now? Islam is the only religion which causes these problems over and over and over again. Other religions simply don't. And as you can see, Islam does not cause these problems because Muslims just, misunderstand their religion and are somehow affected by circumstances that have nothing to do with their religion. No, Muslims directly take these motivations to kill and to harm from their religion, which dehumanizes the disbelievers and which commands to fight the disbelievers until they are humiliated, until they are subjugated. There are so many more examples that we can go into, such as that Muhammad asked his loyal followers to go and destroy temples. Dhul Khalasa was a temple, for example. Muhammad famously said, "Who will rid me of this temple?" And then one of his loyal minions went and destroyed it and killed whoever was there. Muhammad actually applauded that and said, "May Allah bless you and your tribe." Muhammad had rough guys with him like Omar, who threatened to kill a child.
30 seconds left.
Which Muhammad did not refuse by saying, "No, we don't do that." He simply said, "There is no reason to do it right now." So this is Islam. Islam is clear as day dangerous. I'm an apostate. I have a death sentence. I'm supposed to die under the Muslim apologist's perfect worldview in his Islamic nation. So I don't know that if there's anything else more to say to this. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you very much for that opening statement. And folks, want to let you know, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, we are a live debate channel, neutral, hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. So we don't take any stances ourselves as a channel. We hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you are from, Christian, atheist, Muslim, you name it. We're glad you're here. And with that, we're going to kick it over to Muslim Apologist for his opening statement as well. Thanks for being with us, Muslim Apologist. The floor is all yours.
All right. Thank you, James, for that opening. So, by the way, just to be clear, how many minutes do I have?
You have 12 minutes, and I forgot to mention, I did want to mention, thanks for tuning in with us, as it's somewhat early in the morning there, as Muslim Apologist is actually in Malaysia tuning in, so we appreciate you making that work with your morning schedule. And like I said, 12 minutes, the clock is set for your opening, Muslim Apologist.
All right. Thank you, James. Assalamu alaikum al-Huda. I begin his opening statement with all absolute praise be due to the one true God of Abraham and his last messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'd. So the topic today is Islam dangerous to the world? We must first understand what the word dangerous entails. The police shooting a criminal who is about to kill women and children is a dangerous act. This, however, does not mean that it is bad or immoral. Violence and dangerous actions can be used to establish the greater good with a wise purpose or hikmah. To also imply that 1.6 billion people around the world are dangerous or have the tendency to be dangerous is a gross misrepresentation of the faith, redundant, and is clearly Islamophobia. We must also be clear that the goal of Islam is to lead all of mankind towards Islamic peace, or Pax Islamica. Muslims are taught to always adhere to the middle path, or wasatiyah. This is characterized neither by liberal nor radical religious thought, but through the promotion of tolerance, balance, equality, consensus, reformism, and in short, the summum bonum of all things that take the middle path to materialize as the Khairul Ummah, or the best of people. In order for these things to be achieved, it is recognized that the Islamic ethos, or the Watan Sha'um, the primary objective of the implementation of Islam is the realization of its benefit of maslahah to mankind, which concerns their affairs both in this world and in the hereafter. So this framework of objectives, which are based on benefit, maslahah, or the wise purpose, hikmah, is known as the maqasid ash-sharia, or the objectives of Islamic law after its implementation. In French, it's known as finalité, in German, Zweck, in Greek, telos. So the fulfillment of Islamic law covers the protection and preservation of these 5 fundamental objectives, which are faith, life, intellect, lineage, and wealth. Now, these values are universally transcendent and are seen as absolute requirements to an individual's survival and spiritual well-being, to the extent that the destruction or collapse of any of these objectives would precipitate chaos and the demise of the standard order in society. Now, about faith, the first objective. Islam values the maintenance of faith in God and the societal way of life based on this principle. Okay. To achieve this, Islam ensures that any threat to this value is nullified before it causes a danger to the Muslim community as a whole. This would include freedom of religion, a safe and secure environment which would allow Muslims to practice their faith without any threat, getting rid of Islamophobia as it is currently rampant in Western nations, and all these things are done while ensuring that other religions are also allowed to practice their respective faiths in peace and harmony in a Muslim-dominated society. And as any other self-respecting nation would do, Islam also takes preemptive steps as a countermeasure to ensure that this way of life is not undermined. This legislation is no different from how the United States, for example, treated Edward Snowden, Joseph Ahmed, Jonathan Pollard, Julian Assange, when they pose a threat to the integrity of the government. In light of achieving the greater good in this context, how then is Islam a danger to the world? Now the next objective, life. Islam values the protection and value of human life. Islam ensures that peace prevails throughout the world via any means that can achieve this aim. Islam is most certainly not a danger to the world if it values human life, because according to the words of the Quran itself, to kill one human is as though you have killed all of mankind. The purpose of justice in Islam, which includes the hard laws, is to ensure that crime is controlled and that the person involved can be reformed or otherwise be taken out of society so that he or she will no longer be a threat to anyone else. Criminologist Edwin Sutherland published the Principles of Criminology in 1939. Sutherland argued that the criminal behavior was learned, not an inherited trait. So exposure to crime, either through relatives or peers, gave a youth frustrated with his or her social status a choice to pursue crime. These bad influences could be lessened by good relationships with parents, teachers, an employer, or the community, values which Islam promotes. How then does this prove that Islam is a danger to the world? Now the next objective, intellect. Islam cherishes and preserves the intellect, which is why throughout Islamic history, we see various advancements and achievements in the development of science and technology in the Muslim world, right up until the beginnings of Western colonialism and the fall of the Caliphate. At the same time, Islam also preserves and protects the intellect by forbidding alcoholism. On average, roughly 40% of inmates who are incarcerated for violent offenses were under the influence of alcohol during the time of the crime. True, alcohol may give people happiness, but that happiness is temporary. Not only does it lead to criminal activities, but it also leads to other vices which ipso facto jeopardize or badly affect the other values that I've mentioned earlier. So tell me again how Islam is a danger to the world. Now the next objective, lineage. Marriage is deeply rooted in natural human instincts. We crave romantic affection. This is a natural human inclination. So sociologists call this pair bonding, and studies have proven that couples who are married are happier than non-married couples. Islam advocates the family unit and ensures that the lineage of mankind continues throughout the centuries. Towards this end, Islam ensures that the laws are in place to curb negative values that are a threat to the integrity of a family unit. And I'm not just referring to the Rainbow Club. Marriage requires sacrifices from both sides. Liberals are not interested in sacrificing their individual freedom. In the West, the concept of marriage is dying. People are barely getting married, and according to Pew Research, 70% of people will not choose to get married. Now you contrast this with Islamic law, which preserves marriage and the family. Islam does recognize individual freedom and other values, but it doesn't focus on them alone because there are more important values for a society and family to function. So again, how does this make Islam a danger to the world? The last objective, wealth. Islam encourages the preservation and maintenance of wealth. Islam does not frown upon capitalism. At the same time, Islam also encourages elements of socialism and welfare in the form of Islamic thief of zakat and sadaqah of charity. Islam also implements taxations which are just and fair to run an administration of a state. Islam also recognizes that being poor and needy leads to instability and chaos in society and tries to remove this by banning gambling and interest. This is consistent with what has been attested to by Western criminologists today, that a general disorder in the neighborhood leads to increased antisocial behavior and eventually to serious crime. So Islam does this without the need to rely upon secularist, humanistic values which are contrary to the Islamic economic and finance system. The implementation of an Islamic economic system has ensured success for Muslim nations even until today. We have Islamic bonds of Sukuk and the Islamic banking system which have existed in Malaysia and in many parts of the Muslim world for over 30 years. So again, how does this support the position that Islam is a danger to the world? Now to summarize all this, Islam is basically a realistic and a religion of pragmatism. It does not see the world purely from dystopian or utopian lenses because the real world that we live in is neither this nor that, but it could be both in various situations. So in light of this, Islam does use force wherever and whenever it's necessary in order to achieve a wise purpose or hikmah behind every action and in the context of events. Now, it cannot be stressed enough that context is important in order to evaluate the every action of any Islamic ruling or values as recorded in the hadiths or in Islamic history. Muslims are always taught to always strive for the middle path and are never taught to be extremists on either the left or the right of the political spectrum of things. Islam is a holistic way of life, which is the end result from the values derived from maqasid, as I've mentioned before. And this is one of the goals of Islam as well, to build a relationship between man and God, hablum minallah, and a relationship between man and man, hablum minan nas, in order to eventually move towards to and achieve Pax Islamica. So I cherish these values that Islam clearly promotes. Therefore, in conclusion, and in my opinion, Islam is a danger to the world only if you are a degenerate, a career criminal, a selfish or a lawless person without care for society, or a very, very mentally disturbed interviewer. And with that, I end my opening statement. Thank you, James, for the opportunity to participate.
Thank you very much for that opening statement. And want to let you know, folks, we have a juicy debate that has been rescheduled. It didn't happen last weekend, but it is happening tomorrow. It is a tag team flat earth debate. It's going to be a great one, and we have many more debates in addition to that one coming out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so that you don't miss any future debates that do come out here at Modern Day Debate. And with that, thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to kick it into the rebuttal section. In particular, the rebuttals are 6 minutes long, and Apostate Prophet, the floor is all yours for your rebuttal. Thanks very much for being with us.
So all I heard was Islam is not dangerous because dangerous is defined differently according to Islam. Yes, Islam applies force and discriminates and oppresses people, but it's for the greater good. It's for your own good. It's like when an abusive partner in marriage or whatever it is severely abusive, but says, hey, don't complain. This is for your own good. That's basically what Islam does. Islam oppresses. As the Muslim Apologist just pointed out, Islam suppresses people who are Islamophobic. meaning they just don't like Islam or they criticize Islam. It executes apostates, executes people who do all kinds of things, but that is not dangerous at all. That's just for your own good, because Islam knows best what's good for you. You don't know. You are an idiot. So that's how Islam treats you, basically. Now, one thing I find very funny, which is one thing that I had to catch, he says that Islam doesn't encourage extremism. Islam is extremism. And by our standards, Islam, everybody will look at Islam as extremism. But what's funny is actually that this is not a line that he just made up. This is something that Muhammad said. He said, he talked about, don't be extreme, be moderate. And this is common among Muslims of all kinds to say, we are moderate, we are not extreme. And what's funny is the reformists, the most peaceful Muslims, say the same thing. And Al-Qaeda, Taliban, ISIS also say the same thing. I'm not joking. ISIS actually says in their publications that we should abstain from being extremists, and that ISIS is the most moderate path. So when he says that, that doesn't mean anything because it's completely relative. I would really like Mensch to comment on the Salman Rushdie issue, for example. What does he think? Does he think it is wrong to kill people or to attack or harm people who have offended Islam, or does he think that deserves no condemnation? Would he, for example, do the honor of condemning this recent incident? I'm really curious about that, because I can show a bunch of screenshots where most of his fellow believers are quite happy about what happened. He basically says Islam provides freedom of religion, and thereby only means freedom of religion for Islam, because all the others will be suppressed. He's basically telling me here that I shouldn't be complaining because Islam provides freedom of religion, and if I am against Islam, then I endanger Islam, and it's okay for me to be, killed as an apostate. But I shouldn't be complaining about this. Complaining about that would be Islamophobic. Can you believe this? Of course, the cult-like presentation of stuff that nobody understood at the beginning of your speech did not help at all. What else is there? He talked about the common benefit, the greater good of humanity, thereby pointed out that Islam cares very much about preserving faith. He did not really explain why, though, which is very interesting. I can make the same case for any value without explaining why exactly we need that value. He said that Islam values life, and said that Islam actually says whoever takes a life, it is as if he had killed all mankind. The actual quote is in Quran chapter 5, verse 32, and says, this is what we said to the children of Israel, which, by the way, is wrong. The Quran just plagiarizes something from the Talmud. And it then says in the following verse after that, that those who wage war against Allah and his messenger and spread corruption in the land, that they should be crucified, their hands and feet cut off from opposite sides, killed or exiled. This is how Islam is supposed to deal with people who hurt Islam. But of course, he can say, well, that's not bad because that's necessary, for the greater good. But still, Islam is totally against violence and totally values life. Yeah, well, you also value fighting disbelievers and correcting them, and then still say, but Islam values life. That's not really how it works. He spoke of intellect, which I find very funny. I don't even know what to say about that. Talked about lineage, which he proudly says that Islam values marriage and coming together, and in the West, people do not marry. What's funny is if you actually look at the divorce rates, you will find that Muslim countries are very high in terms of numbers of divorce per marriage. For example, Saudi Arabia has higher numbers of divorce than many European countries. And the same goes for many other Muslim countries. Islam also is not about a man and a woman and children. It's about a man, possibly 4 wives, sex slaves, and multiple children. Islam also allows for you to marry a little child. For example, I'm sure Mensch here will have no issue with the fact that Muhammad himself married a 6-year-old child when he was 55 years old and had sex with her. I'm sorry, James, I know you don't like when this is brought up here. Had sex with her when she was 9 years old.
But you only have about 10 more seconds.
When she was 9 years old. And so that is the family value of Islam. I don't think anybody wants this, anybody needs this. It is harmful, it is dangerous. Thank you.
And time. We'll kick it over to Muslim Apologist for his rebuttal as well. Same thing for you, Muslim Apologist. Got the clock set for 6 minutes. The floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you, James. Yeah, by the way, Mr. Aidamir, my name is not pronounced Menj. It's pronounced M-E-N-J. Please get that correct, right? They are my initials, okay? So anyway, what I've listened to, okay, all that rubbish that I've listened to from Mr. Aidamir is basically things that I've been listening to or refuted since 2003, okay, because I have this website called Bismika Awahuma, and most of these anti-Islam claims, exist like way back. Okay, so what he proposes here is really nothing new. Okay, so let me see now the notes that I thought. Yeah, he gave examples of people being killed in the name of Islam. Okay, so if people are killing, other people in the name of Islam, that doesn't mean that that other person represents Islam. See, because Mr. Aidamir seems to have this impression that whatever happens in one remote part of the world somehow represents me, in a remote peninsula in Southeast Asia. So why am I being held accountable for something that happens in the US, in Nigeria, in the Middle East? I'm not an Arab. I'm a Malay. Okay, I'm a Malaysian. Okay, and of course we profess the same religion, Islam. But I mean, whatever actions that a Muslim does, or someone who claims to be a Muslim does in some remote part of the world, doesn't necessarily represent me. Okay. And of course, I mean, I don't, of course, agree to this sort of violence, okay, being committed against, other people in the name of Islam. But, he's conflating things. He's just, mixing up things. He's confusing things. The Islamic law, for example, as he talks a lot about the issue of apostasy. Not surprising because he claims to be an apostate himself. But the law of apostasy is only applicable in the Muslim state. Okay, if you apostatize in the Muslim state and you declare, basically you are declaring war against the Muslims. So of course, the law will be applied to you. Okay, so I would actually suggest Mr. Aidamir to actually take a look at this book and try to read the contents of this book and re-educate himself regarding the apostasy laws in Islam. It's written by Taha Jabir Al-Alani. So there's a lot of information there which he should re-educate and rethink about this so-called law, or what he thinks are apostasy laws. Because if an apostate claims, if someone decides to apostatize in a foreign land which the Muslim state does not have control over, the Muslim state does not have any right to go to that foreign land and just kill that person. I mean, we are just going to shrug our shoulders and say, so what? You want to apostate? Go ahead. Okay, we're not going to be bothered with you. Which is exactly the reason why Mr. Aidamir is still alive today. Because if we were really violent, if we were really, going after every single apostate in the world, I don't think Mr. Aidamir will escape from the list. Okay, I mean, we are 1.6 billion people, right, around the world. Okay, and then he talks about Surah Al-Tawbah. I actually have this article on my website. Okay, so the passage, the whole surah is actually about a specific context for a specific time. Okay, I'll be very, very happy to educate him on this, but it's going to take too long, right? And then he talks about jizya. Okay, so about the jizya, I will also again recommend him to read this book, all right, by Abdul Rahman Aidoy. Okay, it's about non-Muslims under the Sharia. So he has a chapter on the jizya. And the jizya is not supposed to be punishment. It's not supposed to be, demeaning. It's not supposed to be humiliating. It's just a tax. Okay, it's a tax meant for non-Muslims living in the Muslim state. And in fact, those who pay the jizya are given several benefits in the Islamic state. Okay, Unfortunately, today we don't actually have any practical examples of the jizya being implemented in the Muslim world, because most of the governments in the Muslim world today are not being ruled by Sharia anyway. So, I mean, this discussions about the jizya is actually quite moot, okay? Because the jizya, as practiced during the time of the Caliphate, okay, it's not being implemented today even, okay? But I would say the it will be analogous to maybe the income tax. So everyone pays income tax anyway, okay? What else? I hope I haven't missed out anything. Oh yeah, I think he talked about Ka'ab ibn Ashraf, the so-called assassination of Ka'ab ibn Ashraf. So the context, again, if you listen to my opening statement, I did mention something about, referring to context and understanding the historicity behind it. So regarding the issue of Ka'ab bin Ashraf, I actually have an article on this. So the context is simple, okay? Because this Ka'ab bin Ashraf, he was inciting hatred against the Muslims, and therefore the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was, telling the Muslims to do something about it. So we don't have any, there wasn't any international law or Geneva Conventions during the time. So the Prophet is the head of state for Medina at the time. So whatever he says definitely goes, okay? Because he's the king, okay? He's the ruler of the state. So it's not different from, the Roman Empire ordering someone to kill someone else, okay? In those times, in those days. I mean, today, in the modern world, even the president of the head of a state of a government will have the power to, go ahead with the execution of prisoners or to, instruct certain things, okay? Like, for example, the assassination of bin Laden himself. Okay, right. So yeah, I mean, I guess So the examples that he gave are all emotional. They are not based on reality, and they are sometimes even too idealistic. Okay? And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that rebuttal. We're going to jump into open conversation, folks. Things are going to get wild. Want to say we hope you feel welcome no matter what walk of life you are from. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as we have many more juicy debates coming up. And with that, thank you very much, gentlemen, who, by the way, are linked in the description box, including at the Modern Day Debate podcast. We put our guest links there as well if you want to hear more. Thank you very much, Muslim Apologist and Apostate Prophet. The floor is all yours.
So I want to quickly say I find it very ironic that MENG is actually so offended by me not calling his name in the right way, considering that he referred to me in very insulting ways, and even said, let me quote, I would like to punch him. He has such an, I quote, fuckable face, which I find very flattering. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about him. But I just have very simple questions here. Like, do you condemn killing or attacking people who offend your Islamic religion and values?
You want the short answer or the long answer? That's the thing.
Very simple. Do you condemn any attack or killing of people who offend Islam?
Of course I do. I mean, I already said it in the rebuttal, right? I mean, what else is there to say?
So you're absolutely against, for example, the Salman Rushdie attack. Do you think it's completely wrong to attack Salman Rushdie?
Well, specifically to Salman Rushdie, I don't actually have an opinion on the incident because frankly I don't care about him. Okay, to me, he's a persona non grata. He has no influence on me, on my life. So why would I have an opinion?
How about a different hypothetical? How about a different hypothetical? What if somebody draws Muhammad cartoons, like very obscene Muhammad cartoons, and makes fun of them and makes them like a cartoon character that is spot out and all that? Do you think
in the Muslim world, I think he'll be dealt with accordingly. But if it's done in the West, I can't do anything about it. And of course, I would condemn that action. I'm not going to accept that. I never am going to accept that.
That's good. I appreciate that. That's good. So you think it is totally wrong to harm those people? That's very nice.
No one has the right to harm that person unless if he's in the Islamic State, right? So then there's a different story. Okay.
So what you're saying is, I'm totally distorting things because I'm making it look like Islam is very violent and offensive and oppressive. Because
yes, you are.
Because Islam is not right like that at all. Because only in an Islamic state would we all be slaughtered for offending Islam. Outside of an Islamic state, that wouldn't
I wouldn't
That's what
use
you're
the
saying,
word
right?
slaughtered. I think that's very biased and very prejudgmental of you to say slaughtered. Okay, because there are laws and processes, court processes. Okay, I mean, you're not going to be dragged to some forest and be beheaded, right? There's a judge, there's a jury, there's witnesses, the whole process. There's a whole court process. So I think it's quite disingenuous of you to say slaughtered. Okay, I mean your choice of words clearly tells me that you have this prejudice and biased opinion of Islam. Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, I guess I apologize for the offense that I caused. If an Islamic State executes a bunch of people who offend Islam, including me for my apostasy and my outspoken opposition to Islam, then I will be respectful and abstain from calling it slaughtering while I'm being killed.
Well, no, you see, the thing is, Idemir, no one can, no Muslim state in this, if you don't commit the crime in the Muslim state, no one can come and hunt you down and kill you because the offense was not committed in the Muslim state. Like, for example, if I were to go to the US and I were to rape and kill anyone in the US, would my government come and drag me to the courts here in Malaysia and trial me for that? Because the offense was committed in the US. So of course the US government will come and come after me, okay, and trial, put me to trial for those crimes. So it's the same thing for you. If you commit the crime in a Muslim state, obviously the state is going to come after you. But if you are going to commit the crime in another country, in a sovereign nation, which has nothing to do whatsoever with Islam.
I think we established that. So what you're basically saying is, I would be killed, others would be killed and executed and judged and all that. But it's not bad because
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the
law.
crime is done in a Muslim state, have you been doing the crime?
I know that's what I'm saying.
State?
So that's what I'm saying. So let's get the logic straight here. You are a Muslim apologist who has the intention of defending Islam and spreading Islam. In your ideal world, people would convert to Islam. If most people convert to Islam, then we would live in a Muslim country. If we live in a Muslim country, the Muslim country should adopt Islamic laws. If we are in an Islamic country, then people like me who leave Islam and openly talk about it would be executed because we are criminals. Did I get that right so far?
No, I don't think so, because that's very far off and it's not happening now. So you're saying if this,
but I'm speaking of a hypothetical. So you want to spread Islam. What if people convert to Islam and people then, because they have converted to Islam and become a majority as you want it, they then adopt Islam. In that Islamic environment, people like me would be killed.
Of course. Right? I mean, I think that is something which Muslims would love to see, but we're not going to force anyone to come to Islam.
But that is basically your mission here, as we see it. I mean, it's
I'm not forcing anyone. I'm not forcing anyone to come to Islam. That's why there's a reason.
I never said you were forcing
anyone. Idemir, excuse me. Let me speak. First of all, there's a reason why I call myself the Muslim apologist. I don't call myself the Muslim da'im or the Muslim, caller to Islam. Okay. The reason why I call myself the Muslim apologist is because I personally do not have any intention whatsoever to convert anyone to Islam. I only come here to defend Islam, to present Islam as it is, and to present, and to refute people like you who are spreading lies about Islam. That's it.
Okay. Did I ever say that you want to convert, that you want to force people to convert to Islam? I never said that. But
you seem to imply so. You seem to lump me into those who want to convert.
I never said that you want to force people to convert to Islam. What I'm saying
that's what you're implying.
You Muslim apologists are out here defending Islam or preaching Islam.
Yes.
So
no, I'm not preaching Islam. I'm defending Islam. There's a difference.
I mean, you are basically doing the same thing if you go out here and try to.
If you want to put, split hairs, then I mean, whatever it is.
Okay, whatever. No. Whatever. I don't care what you personally do, but Muslims have the mission to spread Islam, and I guess I mean you are definitely aware of the fact that it is a Muslim mission, as Muslim scholars have acknowledged, and as Muhammad himself said. Don't forget to say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, to spread Islam and to make everybody convert to Islam. If everybody converted to Islam, then we would get to such a state in which people like me would be executed. I mean, this is the basic logical conclusion. This is what that entails. So what we are.
If you live in an Islamic state, then maybe. But,
wonderful. So do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's
The war
wrong
is
for
huge.
states
You can
to
always-
oppress Muslims? Do you think it's okay for a country to put Muslims in concentration camps because it perceives Muslims as harmful people who, corrupt or endanger the culture and the system of the nation? Do you think that's okay?
It's
Because
happening
that's-
now. It's happening
so,
now.
So do you think it's
I mean,
right?
Of course, I don't think it's right because as a Muslim,
Why?
I feel the pain of my brothers and
But
sisters.
it's the law. It's their law. So they
Right.
can do whatever they want.
Yes, exactly. So that's why. So I can't do anything about it. What can I do about it?
So people say, or there are many reports that Uyghur Muslims, an ethnic minority, and also other ethnic groups and religious groups, by the way, but mainly the Uyghur Muslims, are apparently brutally oppressed in China and taken to what you could call concentration camps and forcibly re-educated and so on. But if we want to go by your logic that, it's not wrong because, a country has laws and all that, then we should also accept that China oppressing Muslims and forcibly re-educating them and making them loyal minions of the Chinese totalitarian state is also not wrong and not bad because they're just doing what's best for them. It's just the law, right?
Well, the issue of the Uyghur, I think that's a very complicated issue. It's not as straightforward as you would think it seems.
Of course.
Okay?
Now it's complicated. Now it's complicated.
Yeah, of course, because I know no, please don't cut me off, right? Basically, the issue of China and Uyghur is a political matter, right? So it's not really because of persecution of their religion. Okay? It's because of other nationalistic issues, right? So these Uyghurs, they were sent to concentration camps because, the China is basically an atheistic nation. You're actually condemning your own fellow believers.
Atheism is not non-believers.
Okay.
I don't have
I mean, that's why that's your definition of religion. But for me, atheism is a form of religion in a way. I mean, everyone has a religion. Okay?
This is a very nice
ideology.
deflection, but you're completely going astray from the actual topic. It doesn't matter if it's a
national
national political issue
all right.
or whatever it is. It is about laws.
You're cutting me off
China
again. You're cutting me off again
because you're changing the topic.
Sorry. You're cutting me off again.
I have to go in 2
I'm
minutes,
reversing
seconds
back
if it
the
can't
topic,
be,
right?
just to be sure there's no speaking over each other.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. But anyway, the thing is, the Uyghur issue for me is something which doesn't really relate to religion. And of course, I disagree with what China has done. But, there are specific contexts and, ethnic considerations there. Okay, there are, a Muslim population in China, which is not Uyghur, by the way. They are not being sent to concentration camps. Okay. And, the Hui Muslims, for example, they have been there for centuries. Okay. Islam is a recognized religion in China, okay, by the way. And other religions are actually banned. Okay. So the issue of Uyghur is much more complex than you may think. It's not about, oppression of Muslims.
Okay, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter whether it's on a religious basis, an ethnic basis, a political basis, whatever it is. You see that many of your fellow Muslims and Muslim apologists go out there protesting and condemning China, for example, and accusing them of horrible crimes, say this is wrong, when will the world step in, and so on.
Well, with all due respect to them, I don't think they understand the situation in China.
Do you think they're xenophobes? Do you think they are anti-Chinese propaganda people?
No, I don't.
Because they spread hate.
I don't.
But here's the issue, though. When I oppose Islam because of Islamic laws and the policies that Islam presents, you say that I am an Islamophobe who,
yes, you are.
Things and whatever it
Without
is.
doubt. Without doubt, you are.
Because you say those things are not bad because it's just the law, But when your fellow Muslims protest against China and condemn China for their mistreatment of minorities, then you refuse to apply the same standard to them. If you did apply the same standard to them, you should also turn around and say, hey, you guys, you fellow Muslim brothers, you are actually spreading anti-Chinese hate. You are xenophobes. This is totally unacceptable. Please stop it. It's the same logic. Exactly.
I'm not going to stop them. I'm not going to stop them because they're right. Just as I can't stop you from speaking against Islam, even though I disagree with you. See, I'm not going to go and hunt you down and cut off your head. I can't do that.
Well, you're being very hypocritical. That's the issue here.
No,
I'm being inconsistent with your own logic.
I'm being very consistent here. Okay. So for me, the issue of the Uyghur has nothing whatsoever to do with Islam. But this Muslim apologists that you say, the other Muslims, my fellow brothers who think that this issue affects them, if they go out and protest, it's their right. I mean, it's their freedom of speech. Aren't you the one who, promoting so-called freedom of speech, and you're blaming Islam for not promoting freedom of speech? So it's kind of, disingenuous, I would say, for you to, say that they can't do this, but just because, and I think that the issue of, apostasy in Islam is much more larger than, your narrow-mindedness, I would say.
It's actually not very complicated.
Yeah.
It's not very complicated. Islam is very clear on this. If somebody leaves Islam and leaves the Muslims and speaks on it, this is the scholarly consensus in Islam, then that person is to be executed. There are now differences in how to deal with this. If it's a man or a woman, I read many books on this matter, including.
I don't think you have read this.
Many books of fiqh. I read many books of fiqh. So
I don't believe you. Honestly,
Islamic
I don't
law,
believe you.
I don't care if you believe me or not. Let me speak. In Islam, according to Islamic law, according to the Islamic consensus, apostates, people who leave Islam and openly say that they left Islam, are to be executed. The only differences are regarding how long you should wait to execute them, if it's a man or a woman. Some say a woman can't be executed, others say a woman could be executed, or if somebody is a born Muslim or a convert to Islam. And there's also a difference of opinion on whether the person after leaving Islam was hostile toward Islam or not. If the person was not hostile, then there is a possibility of forgiveness, while if the person was hostile, like me, for example, then forgiveness is impossible. We should be executed, and so on. This is basically the universe of apostasy laws in Islam. And what we can say is that apostasy punishment clearly exists in Islam. There is no reason to deny this. People who leave Islam and say it are to be executed.
Sorry, Aidamin, why are you saying that I'm denying the apostasy laws?
Because
I'm not denying it.
Because you're beating around the bush and saying that I'm twisting things. Just let's just say it. Apostates are to be executed in Islam, and that
yes,
is
they are.
oppression.
They are, but yes, they are, but there are conditions for it. There are conditions on why the crime was committed, how the crime is committed, and the reasons behind it. Okay, so
that's what I just said,
if you. Yeah, but you're generalizing, and you're making this assumption somehow that wherever the apostate is, whether he's in the Islamic State or whether he's outside of the Islamic State, he is to be killed. But this is not the case. You see,
I never said such a thing, nor did I imply.
You definitely imply this. And you seem to think that you're going to be killed at any second opportunity.
No, I don't fear for my life. I'm completely fine, and I'm in America. I have the means to defend myself. I mean, come here. Yeah. I will show you.
Well,
come for me. But here's the issue. Yeah. Here's the issue. You are deflecting from the actual problem by bringing up things that I never ever said. I'm not saying, oh, Muslims are out there to kill me. They can kill whatever they want, and so on. I never said these things. Very, very simple. Islam commands the killing of apostates, of people who leave the religion.
Please stop for a moment and see this.
Leave the religion. What is this, man?
Yeah, see this.
So what is this?
I have an American passport. So
what?
If you're thinking, Muslims are violent and evil, and they're going to hunt down and kill every single apostate in this world. I never said that. What's stopping me from the US and come and hunt you down if I wanted to do that? I mean,
I never said that.
Right?
I still never said that.
Imply that somehow your life is in danger.
No, I didn't.
The apostates are going to be killed anywhere they are going. Anywhere they live. I mean, that's really Islamophobic.
I said just now that my life is not in danger. I don't fear for my life.
You just vented on talking about your life, about apostates being hunted down and killed. Okay, you just did that for like a few seconds, right?
I said I said that people are killed repeatedly in the name of Islam. No other religion has such a thing.
And I already repeated that. I did say that anyone who's killed in the name of Islam doesn't necessarily mean that they are being killed in the name of Islam, right? Okay, there are criminals in society. Okay, if someone were to kill you or anyone else in the name of Islam, does that mean that person represents Islam? No, it does not. Okay. It's that simple. Okay?
The topic of our debate
and
is
you're blaming Islam for it, and you keep saying Islam does this, Islam does that. I'm denouncing this type of people. I mean, if this attacks happen in the name of Islam, then yeah. Yeah.
Here's
so what's the issue here?
Here's the issue.
And it's
The
different,
topic is not...
and it's totally different from the laws of apostasy. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's related. I'm pretty sure it's related.
You seem to think that whatever is brought up in a debate must be connected 100% to the other thing and must be a cause of the other thing. No, it doesn't. No, it's
yes,
not.
Of course.
Here is the issue. The topic here is not that Islam explicitly allows hunting people around the world. That's not the topic, and I never implied that. The topic is clearly, is Islam... Yeah, people see that. Okay, I will not deny that anymore. The topic is Islam dangerous? And in order to make the case that Islam is dangerous, I said that Islam is the only religion, I challenge everybody, prove me wrong, which repeatedly endangers, harms, and kills people, and where many people in the religion are happy about it and approve of it, and they are inspired. Just a second. Let me finish my point. And they are inspired by the hatred and the violence that comes from Muhammad and from the Quran, which repeatedly dehumanizes people. That was the entire point. Islam is dangerous because of this influence which leads to the violence. I didn't say Islam actually does this or commands this.
I mean, that's a total joke. Yeah, I was laughing, in my heart when I heard that. Okay, I mean, history. I mean, you see wars committed in the name of religions apart from Islam. I mean, and there are wars committed against Islam. Okay, like the Crusades, the Inquisition. Okay, and you can do your fake laugh, but basically throughout history and World War I and World War II. I mean, all these things are inspired by other ideologies. Okay,
was World War I and II fought against Muslims and against Islam?
And I mean, seriously, for example, the New Zealand incident where this madman comes into the mosque and kills all them. Do you agree to that? I'm pretty sure you are laughing right now.
Everybody condemned it. I was there on the day.
You say that with your lips, but you never made a video. You never made anything.
I did. I condemned it right on that day.
I've never seen it.
Well, if you don't see, that's not my fault. I made a video on it and also a stream.
You keep talking. You keep harping.
Also, look. The issue here is everybody.
Someone Rushdie, but you never talk about the New Zealand incident. You never talk about Anders Breivik killing the Muslims. You never talk about
Anders Breivik didn't kill Muslims.
You never talk about America going to Iraq and killing millions of Muslims. You never talk about Afghanistan where thousands and millions of Afghans were killed by American soldiers.
How many Muslims did Anders Breivik kill?
And don't forget the Bosnian War. Let's not forget the Bosnian War. The Serbs
how many Muslims
were inspired by their religion to kill Muslims. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's not.
Are you going to have a conversation with me, or do you just want to rant?
I already made my point. I think I already made my point. Okay.
How many Muslims did Anders Breivik kill?
Sorry, I misspoke. Not Anders Breivik. Sorry, I wasn't.
He didn't kill any Muslims. You are talking.
Not that I know of. But he did kill a lot of people.
Oh my God!
Right?
Can you please let me speak?
I already let you speak, so let me speak. All right.
You are speaking forever. I'm waiting for you to stop so I can speak, and whenever I start speaking, you jump in again.
Okay, go ahead. All right, sorry about that.
Sorry if I interrupted too, okay? It's hard to pay attention to that sometimes during a debate. The Christchurch Mosque massacre, where a white nationalist in the name of his own ideology went and killed a bunch of Muslims.
It was inspired by Christianity. It was inspired by Christianity.
No, it was not. Did you read the guy's manifesto?
I read the manifesto.
Does he say in there that he did it because of Christianity?
Yes, he did.
That's simply factually wrong. In fact,
can't deny it. Your fake laugh doesn't change that fact.
Can you prove it? Can you quote it? Because I had read it, and he clearly even says upon the question, "Are you a Christian, or do you believe in Christianity? Do you believe in God?" He says,
"I have a copy of."
He says it is complicated.
I don't know where it is.
He says it is complicated, and he clearly says that his intention is not to kill Muslims because he hates them or to be inspired by Christianity. His intention is to combat this whole replacement of white people by non-white people, which is why he did this act. That's what he says. It has no connection at all to Christianity. It is about white nationalism. And the comparison here, remember the challenge that I made earlier. I don't know a single person who approves of that massacre. Everybody condemns it. Not the same thing when a Muslim kills non-Muslims who offend Islam. People rejoice over it. Do you want me to share my screen? I can share with you hundreds of comments where Muslims online celebrate the attack on Salman Rushdie, for example, or people excuse the attack on the Charlie Hebdo cartoon organization. People
doesn't mean I
excuse all
agree
kinds of
with it.
things.
So
I don't care if you agree with it or not. What I'm saying
why are you
is,
assuming? Why are you lumping me together with
I'm not saying this is about you. I'm saying Islam is dangerous and inspires such things, and Islam is the only religion which in today's time repeatedly kills people, and people rejoice over it. No other religion does this. You bring up the Crusades, which happened almost 1,000 years ago, as if they were comparable, whereas Muslims waged global jihad the entire time. I don't even know what your point is.
Okay, since you're finished, okay, why don't you go to your comments, to your comment section in any of your videos, and you read the hate that was written against Muslims. I mean, there's tons of it. Okay, there's tons of it. Okay, I mean, back when David's channel was up, okay, you could actually see the comments, all the hate against Muslims. I mean, you go to any channel, which has anti-Islam content, and you just read the comments and you tell me whether you agree with those, whether you agree with that hate. Because if you agree with those hate, then you're an Islamophobe. It's really that simple. I don't hear you condemning those.
I even made a video in which I said I don't hate Muslims and I don't think it's right to hate Muslims. Do you think any of your Muslim apologists or you yourself ever made an effort to say, hey, we should not hate people who leave Islam, we should not hate apostates, we should actually understand them, and so on? Did you ever make such an effort?
Why should I love apostate?
See the hypocrisy. See the hypocrisy. You're crying about hate against Muslims because some people say some mean things about Muslims.
More than I should love a rapist.
But then you openly hate apostates and you approve of killing them in an Islamic state. But then you complain about some mean comments about Muslims and call it hate. What a hypocrite!
I'm not complaining. It's their right to make that comment. I'm just pointing out your hypocrisy because you're saying, oh, Muslims are happy that Salman Rushdie was stabbed, but you don't seem to see in your comment section where people are saying, oh, Muslims are so evil, they should be killed and destroyed.
Show me one comment that says
there's so much. I don't have to. You just go to your comment section.
I have never seen such a comment in my comment section. And
I've seen it so many times.
Can you actually find somebody going and killing Muslims and then most people rejoice over it? No, it never happens. Never ever happens.
Come on.
Give me an example.
Just because you don't do it publicly doesn't mean that you don't enjoy watching a Muslim killed. Right.
I gave you multiple examples of people being killed and lynched by Muslims in masses, and people rejoice over it. And you cannot give me one example of a Muslim.
Yes, I can give you
people
two
rejoice
examples.
over it, and you can.
I can give you two examples.
You make up things. Go ahead.
No, I'm not making up. Okay, this is back in Nazi Germany. Okay, so these two individuals, Ernst van Roth and Reinhard Heydrich. Okay. So these two Nazi officials were killed by Jews. Okay, they were assassinated, and the Jews celebrated. Okay, they openly celebrated the killing of these people. So, I mean, why are you laughing? I mean, you gave me you asked me to give you an example, right? So I did. I just did. Okay, right. So, I think this is actually a natural reaction of any human anyway. So, why are you making it a big issue? It's nothing. It's nothing to be shameful about. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you were celebrating when Bin Laden was killed anyway. So
I challenge you to give me an example of one religion which does the same thing of killing people who offend the religion and people celebrate it across the religious group. And
you want me to read Deuteronomy 13?
And you cannot give me a single example, but instead go back to the Nazi Germany where some Jews killed Nazis. Are you kidding me? That's actually a perfect example, right? It's a perfect example, an amazing example. What do you think would it be okay by your logic if we established policies in non-Muslim countries where we said, hey, you know what? Islam is a dangerous and harmful religion. It causes degeneracies and so on. So we should therefore ban Islam and execute whoever preaches and converts to Islam. By your logic, that should be completely acceptable because we are just looking out for the betterment of our own civilization and establishing laws. So you shouldn't be complaining about this. You shouldn't call it Islamophobia. You should put out your neck or get out. Isn't that right?
Well, you should stop being a hypocrite, you see, because in the Bible, if you read Deuteronomy 13, okay, if you read Deuteronomy 13, I'm going to read out a passage to you, so please keep quiet for a moment, all right?
Sure, yeah, okay.
If a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces a sign of wonder, and if the sign of wonder spoken of takes place, the prophet says, let us follow other gods. You must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and with all your soul. It's the Lord your God you must follow, and him you must revere. Keep his commandments and obey him, serve him, and hold fast to him. The prophet or dreamer must be put to death for inciting rebellion against the Lord your God. Okay? That prophet or dreamer tried to turn you away from the way the Lord your God commanded you to follow. If your very own brother or your son or your daughter or the wife you love secretly entices you, let us go and worship other gods. Do not yield to them, do not listen to them, show them no pity, do not spare them or shield them. You must certainly put them to death. See, the apostasy law is in the Bible. I don't see you complaining about it. I don't see you saying, oh, you Jews and Christians, you're killing apostates. Your law is telling people to kill apostates. Why are you not denouncing it? Why are you focusing on Islam only?
First off, I find it...
You're being a hypocrite.
Okay, I find it very funny that you actually quoted a Bible passage under which Muhammad would be executed because he was a false prophet who claimed to preach in the name of God.
No, he's not.
According to the Jewish law, Muhammad would be executed.
No.
I mean, that's what the logic entails. But
he says
coming to your assertion of hypocrisy, can you show me an example of people today killing false prophets and people rejoicing over it? Go ahead.
Aidemir, you made a false statement about the prophet, so I'm going to deal with that first, all right? So you said that, according to Jewish law, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is going to be killed, right? But the answer is no. He did not tell people to worship false gods. He tells people to worship the one true God of Abraham. And even Jews until today acknowledge that the Prophet Muhammad is a Noahide prophet. Okay, do you even know what the Noahide law is?
Yes, I know what the Noahide law is. The Noahide law is a law that is presented by the Jewish rabbis, according to which Noah was instructed to give people the command to abstain from certain things, to worship one God, to have some basic human laws aside from the Jewish laws, which are more extensive, because there are certain things that all humans, whether they are Jewish or not, must abide by, including worshiping one God and not worshiping idols. Here is the issue, though. It also says that you are supposed to kill a prophet who presumes to speak in God's name but doesn't, but says false things. If you evaluate Islam by biblical standards, you could quickly come to the conclusion that Muhammad clearly speaks in the name of, claims to speak in the name of God, but doesn't even know the biblical God's name, doesn't do anything the biblical God does, has no witnesses for his prophethood, completely bends the law as he wills, abolishes all kinds of Jewish laws, says the Sabbath was only a punishment for the Jews from God because they were too dumb or too evil or whatever it is, or too disobedient. I mean, this is, under these standards, he would be executed. I'm merely bringing this up because you are bringing up this passage. But here is the issue. You are supposed to show me that this actually applies today and that people actually go around killing false prophets or apostates. Does it happen? No, it doesn't. When did it last happen? Can you tell me?
Well, if it doesn't happen or happen, that's up to the Jews, Christians to decide. You say you are living in a society which claims to follow Judeo-Christian traditions, but they don't follow Judeo-Christian traditions. Okay, I mean that's why we live in a secular society. Not. Yeah, exactly. So of course you're not going to see Jews and Christians applying their own laws. They're not following their own religion. Okay, that's the whole point. Okay, and another thing.
That's the entire point of secularism.
Stop. You made a lie about Islam, so I have to refute it, okay?
Go ahead.
You are saying that, the prophet doesn't know the name of the one true God, okay? I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, we have 99 names in the Quran for God. So
is that the topic?
Tell me, What? Okay. It's not a topic, but I need to refute you. Okay. So you keep saying, I know about your videos. Okay. You keep saying that Yahweh is the name of God. Okay. But it's not. It's a pagan entity. Okay. And of course, we Muslims will not recognize this entity. And I'm going to prove it.
Can you repeat that? Can you say that Yahweh is actually a pagan entity's name?
Yes, and this is the pagan god here, right here, right?
Okay.
So this, if you can look at, okay. So why would I want to worship this being? I don't believe in this being as God. Okay. So your lie, I know where you get this lie from. I know you got it from David, all right? So you don't
David never talked about this. I'm actually the first person who ever extensively talked about this issue.
I'm pretty. No, you're not the first person. That's the thing. You're not the first person to come up with this issue of Yahweh being the name of God.
Okay.
Tell me what does the name? And you know why? And do you know why I said this? Because back in 2004, 2005, I was confronted with this issue. A Christian guy actually asked me or tried to challenge Islam by accusing Islam of saying that Yahweh is the name of the one true God, the divine name. And therefore, Muslims are not on the true path because Muslims do not know this Yahweh. And I refuted him. Okay. So what you're presenting here is nothing new.
Okay.
I'm just taking.
If you want to have a debate about the name of God or about whether Islam is true or not, we can gladly have that. I would love it, and I would love to show to everybody how ridiculous Islam is. But I just want to, since you brought it up, since you brought it up, I just want to ask you a question here.
About a few more minutes, and then we'll go to the closing statements and Q&A.
I want to ask you a simple question here. The prophet Elias. What is the prophet Elias's actual name?
Yeah, it's not Ezekiel, that's for sure. Okay.
But what is his Hebrew name?
Okay. I think it's Eliyahu, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Eliyahu. What does Eliyahu mean?
I don't care because the Quran corrected that mistake by calling him Ilyas. And Il is from Ilah. Okay.
That is incredibly stupid.
It's from I think you are the stupid one, okay? Because you don't know.
I didn't say you are stupid. I said that is stupid.
I have this book here.
Okay, will you let me speak about this? Look, Elias is not a correction made by the Quran. Elias is an adoption from Greek, which is the Hellenized version of the name Eliyahu. In Greek, it is Elias or Elias, which Arabic-speaking people adopted, which is why it came into Islam as Elias. The guy's name in Hebrew is Eliyahu. Do you know what Eliyahu means? Eliyahu means my God is Yahweh. Yahu is
it doesn't.
Yahu repeatedly refers to the God Yahweh throughout the Bible, throughout Hebrew tradition. Another name, Isa, which Islam distorts as well, is Yehoshua, also is about Yahweh. Another Yahya is also about Yahweh. Zechariah is also about Yahweh. And the Quran even says that Allah gave the names of Yahya and of Isa to them and promised those names. So Allah, your true God, allegedly, gave people names which praise the false God Yahweh, as you claim. That is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard. You have to accept, if you want to accept these figures and these names as true, that your God's name, at least known to them, was Yahweh. If you want to openly assert that Yahweh is a pagan name of a pagan entity, then you are directly denying and refuting your own religion without even understanding it and knowing it. You're welcome.
It's the most ignorant and stupid thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
because I bought this book here. Okay, I have several books on the subject. Right.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of books. You have nothing to say.
Since you want to talk about the issue of Yahweh, I'm going to give me a chance to actually read a passage from this. Right. So basically, no one knows how Yahweh is pronounced. Okay, it's Yod, Het, Vav, and Het. Right. Nobody knows the pronunciation of this tetragrammaton. Okay. And to say that it's Yahweh is wrong. The pronunciation is incorrect. Okay, I mean some scholars actually say that it could be Yahu or Yahuwah. Okay,
and how is that relevant to the discussion that we're having right now?
No, basically you don't have the right pronunciation of your so-called God by the name of Yahweh.
And how is it relevant to the discussion that we are having right now?
It's not, but since you want to talk about it, I'm going to
Fantastic.
talk about it.
It's not relevant to what I said at all right now. What I'm saying is that your Quran, your God himself, claims to have sent people and have given them names which praise Yahweh. But you are telling me right now that Yahweh is actually a pagan entity's name. You have no clue what you're talking about.
You're not listening to anything I said. I just said that the name Yahweh doesn't exist. No, you didn't. You didn't seem to understand or comprehend what I'm saying. I think it's a bit above your level, all right? Because
it's all my fault. Right? Yeah, I'm stupid. I don't understand.
Definitely.
I know these things.
Good for you to admit it. For you to admit it. Okay. So basically, okay, this word Yahweh, nobody knows its pronunciation. Nobody knows how it's pronounced. And of course,
very nice changes of topics.
And
has nothing to do with the
Quran is going to avoid this. Sorry, please let me speak, all right? So basically, the name Yahweh is a pagan god which existed in Canaanite times, okay? And of course, Islam is going to avoid using this name because this name is an idol, okay? And therefore, it's a pagan god, okay? So the so-called claims that you made about the prophets allegedly using the name Yahweh, we don't know how it's pronounced, okay? We don't know how it's pronounced.
Jews did not care about how it is pronounced. What they cared about is to preserve the letters, which is why it is
even until today.
Stop. Or Yahu is a short form which praises the God Yahweh and has been known so forever.
I don't believe that the God Yahweh is
It is impossible that such a change happened. It is throughout Hebrew tradition and throughout the Hebrew Bible, it repeatedly refers to Yah or Yahu as
you're not listening to anything I say, right?
I am clearly listening, and I'm telling you that you have no clue what you're talking about. Yahu is the name of the Hebrew God, of the biblical God. And your Islamic scripture contains names like Jesus, Yahya, John, or Elijah, or Zechariah, which
the name of Jesus in the Quran is not Yahuwah, okay?
It is Isa. It is Isa.
Yeah, it's Isa. It has nothing whatsoever to do with Yahweh. It's nothing to do with anything in Hebrew, okay? It's a name which was taken from the Aramaic. Okay? And what is the name in Aramaic? In Aramaic, not Hebrew. Its original name in Aramaic is Isho. Okay, nothing to do whatsoever with Yahweh.
And what do you think Isho is? What do you think that is? It is Hebrew origin. It is Hebrew origin. Yeah.
No, it's not Hebrew. It's Aramaic.
Oh
my God! You're confusing. You confuse things again. See?
I'm going to let you finish. I'm going to let you finish in 30 seconds. MENJ, right. And then we're going to go into closing statements, starting with Apostate Prophet. So you got 30 seconds, and then we'll go. It
is a well-known fact that the name of Jesus.
MENJ was starting his response. I want to give him a chance to.
Go ahead, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, the name of Jesus, the original name of Jesus, is in Aramaic, and it's Isho. Okay. Nothing whatsoever to do with Yahweh or whatever it is that you're trying to spew here. Okay. So I mean, if you want to have a debate on this, I'm more than happy to oblige. Okay, but since you brought it up, I had to talk about this. Okay, so this false god Yahweh, okay, is a pagan god that existed, way before the Mosaic religion. Okay, and it came from Nubia. Okay, and scholars don't even know how Yahweh is pronounced. Okay. And frankly, I don't have any problems also with the Tetragrammaton, but it's just that you seem to think that it's pronounced as Yahweh, which is wrong. And the Jews themselves, they don't even know how it's pronounced, and they replace it with Adonai. And Jews accept that Muslims worship the same God. Yeah, so I don't know what the issue is. Okay, so yeah.
We're going to jump into the closing statement, so don't worry, Muslim apologists, you'll get a chance to finish up on that point. But first, we're going to go over to Apostate Prophet for his closing statement. These are 5 minutes. Floor is all yours, Apostate Prophet.
So just to finalize that final point and to show that MENG likes to talk about things he has absolutely no clue about, I just want to quickly point out that it is established. You can go on a page as simple as Wikipedia and look at the origins of the name Jesus, and it will tell you that it is an Aramaic version and shortening of the Hebrew original Yehoshua, which became Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves or Yahweh is salvation. Becomes Yeshu, and then is turned in Greek into Jesus, or in Latin, and is somehow adopted by the Arabic-speaking Muslims as Isa, which has nothing to do with the actual name, and even the letters, the R sound and the E sound, are reversed, which looks like the Islamic authors of the Quran had no clue what they were doing. And as said, it is clearly a Hebrew origin name, which means Yah is salvation. It doesn't matter how it is pronounced. What matters is that the name is there. The pronunciation is entirely irrelevant. Now, coming to the actual topic, everybody has seen, as it has been established, that Islam is a dangerous religion. Islam does advocate oppressing people, banning free speech, killing blasphemers, killing apostates. There's so much more. Of course, I didn't even go into the whole, child marriage and pillaging and taking slaves and sex slaves, waging war against the world and all that. I'm sure he would love to talk about that himself personally. Islam dehumanizes people in its scripture and in the words of the holy prophet, who's supposed to be the most perfect human being to ever walk the face of the earth, whom every Muslim should emulate because he's so amazing, which is why Muslims around the world are inspired by this and often have a very hostile view of people of different religions, especially of Jews, whom Muhammad demonized to no end, and the Quran demonizes as well. One thing actually that he said, which is that the Quran chapter 9 verse 29, in which it says that you should fight those who don't believe in Allah or in Islam until they are humiliated and pay the jizya. He said this was about a specific incident. That's complete nonsense. It was revealed by the Islamic belief during a specific incident, but the verse clearly says, fight those who don't believe in Allah and His Messenger and the Day of Judgment, and who don't adopt the true religion among the Christians and Jews. It clearly speaks about people who don't believe in Islam. And it says, fight them, humiliate them, take protection money from them. Islamic scholars have consensually agreed since the beginnings of Islam, as you can see in the most famous exegesis of the Quran, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, that this is a general statement, a general command for all times to Muslims to go out and to convert people to Islam. If they refuse to convert to Islam, tend to declare war on them unless they can come to some sort of different agreement, and to take protection money from them and make them your subjects, where they have very limited rights, can't build their own places of worship, new ones, and so on, have to give their places to Muslims, and so on. And if they refuse that, then they are supposed to be slaughtered and enslaved, as Muhammad himself did, and also instructed his Muslim followers to do. If Menj wants to somehow deny this, I really challenge him to go into the Muslim history and to tell me that Muslims actually didn't do such a thing and didn't approve of such a thing, and that this was just one incident in the Muslim time. That's complete nonsense. He knows that that's not true. Muslim scholars have ruled that this is a general command and have fought that way forever. So Islam spreads hate and then claims to be the victim in the form of people like Menj saying that we are being Islamophobic because we call out the hateful, violent side of Islam. Islam is dangerous because it dehumanizes entire groups of people and commands to fight and to subjugate them. Islam is all about making Islam superior and to crush everything else there is. There is nothing else to say. Stay away from Islam. Thank you.
You got it. With that, we'll kick it over to Muslim Apologist for his closing as well. And folks, we are so close to 300 likes. Appreciate all of your support, which, by the way, is fantastic. So people have really enjoyed this debate. I've got to tell you, Apostate Prophet and Muslim Apologist, people have been all in when it comes to this debate. So Muslim Apologist, the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you, James. And Idemir, I appreciate you coming here, even though I really detest your Islamophobia. The things that you say, the lies and misconceptions that you spread about Islam is precisely the reason why I am the Muslim apologist. And again, I need to remind you that my name is not Manj, my name is MENJ. Okay, I give you due respect, by calling you Mr. Idemir. So I expect you to accord the same respect as well. So about this rubbish regarding this false god Yahweh. Okay, so going back to what I said earlier before James had to cut me off. The Jews themselves don't have any problems with Muslims. Okay, it is only Christians, evangelical Christians, in the extremism, in the likes of David Wood, who like to claim that this mysterious God called Yahweh is a divine name, and only Christians recognize this. No, I'm sorry, okay? Because Jews don't have any problems with Muslims calling upon God as Allah, okay? And if you were to ask a Jew on the street regarding, whether they believe that Muslims worship the same God as they do, they say yes, there's no problems with it. Okay, the proof of this you can actually see this on a YouTube channel where I forgot his name. I think it's Gil Sharon, something like this. He's an American Jew who goes on the streets of Jerusalem and interviews the Jews on the streets and asks them random questions. Okay, so you can actually check that out. Okay, I've seen some of the videos that he has done. So he asked Jews on the street whether they believe that Muslims worship the same God as they do, and they say yes. Okay, so this ridiculous polemic about Yahweh being a divine name for God and Muslims don't know this God is really irrelevant. Okay, because the Jews have no problem with it. So the Christians are just the extremist kind. Okay, not you, James. The extremist kind. They just try to diminish the worship of the one true God, which Muslims acknowledge to be the one true God of Abraham. So your polemic is just based on lies, okay, that people like David would give you, okay. And about the name of Isa, okay, I think it's too long if I were to talk about it, so I'll leave it for another time. But I'm going to go back to the topic of the day, which is basically Islam dangerous to the world. The answer is no, it's not. What Idemir has been feeding you are all just lies, BS. Okay, he's just repeating, Islam is violent, Islam kills apostates. Well, it depends on the context, right? I mean, everything is based on context. Okay, you can't just go around hunting down apostates and kill them. Okay, and regarding the jizya, especially the ridiculous nonsense that he talks about the jizya. Wow, I have this book, and it's amazing that you can actually repeat all that for right in front of me. When I can see the passage here telling me something totally different. Okay, so I'm going to read a passage from this book, if you permit me, James, and then we can end this conclusion. So it says here, jizya means a reasonable tax that non-Muslim citizens is required to pay. Okay? If a Muslim ruler fails to protect the life and property of non-Muslim citizens, he has to return the jizya. They will pay jizya just as the Muslims will give an obligatory zakat. Okay? The payment of jizya would absolve a non-Muslim from the payment of zakat. Okay? Although he will still enjoy the rights to share the zakat money if he happens to be poor and needy like any other Muslim. And you see there, it just shows that a non-Muslim in the Muslim state will also receive money from zakat as well. Okay. Moreover, he will be absolved from any compulsory military service, meaning he doesn't need to serve in the army. Which hazard a Muslim citizen cannot escape. Okay. And the amount of jizya must be reasonable. Okay. And then there are people who are actually exempted from payment. Okay. Women and children are exempted from payment. The amount of jizya was to be paid once a year and could also be paid by value instead of cash if they wish to. Okay? And then the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever oppresses a non-Muslim subject or taxes him beyond his capacity, then I shall be the opposite party, or I shall be against him in the litigation. So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is actually condemning Muslims who will try to oppress non-Muslims in Islamic State. So there you go. Your lies are refuted. So thank you very much, James. I just end this.
You got it. We're going to jump into the question and answer. Folks, if you happen to have questions, feel free to fire them into the old live chat. If you tag me or at me with Modern Day Debate, that's one way to ask a question. And even quicker, as we put them at the top of the list, you can use a super chat. We're going to jump into those right now. Thanks very much for your question. Chris Claus says, for the Muslim apologist, when was the last time Sharia was implemented correctly?
I guess with the fall of the Caliphate, Ottoman Caliphate, I think everything just went down the drain. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Okay, and it's basically no thanks to this, this bastard here who caused it to happen. Okay, yeah, so this was the bastard who brought down the Caliphate. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
This one coming in from Stop Scamming Man says, I've got a question for the Muslim gentleman. Slavery wasn't abolished by the Caliphate until the secularists took over in the 1920s. In your estimation, when, if ever, should it have been abolished?
Well, to have a long discussion about slavery, there's actually nothing moral or immoral about it because it's a system. Okay, so the thing is, Islam doesn't say that slavery is to be abolished explicitly. But that being said, Islam also encourages the freeing of slaves, the manumission of slaves. Okay? So whenever a Muslim does something which goes against the Sharia, like for example, he doesn't fast properly, so he's allowed to not fast by releasing his slaves. Okay, so this is something unique to Islam, and I personally believe in my studies of studying religion, because you can see the evidence here behind me compared to my opponent, right? So basically, I believe that Islam has always had in mind the eventual abolition of slavery. Okay? But let's say if the world one day were to come back to slavery for some reason or another, we don't know in the future, right? So if that happens, then Islam has the laws governing the issue of slavery. Yeah. So it's not a moral or immoral issue actually. Yeah.
You got it. Thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from, do appreciate it. Nemesis says, MENJ, Sharia triumph the Quran, be honest. I think they're saying that Sharia comes before the Quran. It takes precedence, or
I really cannot. That's illogical because the Sharia is derived from the Quran. I don't. It's like putting the egg before the. It's putting the egg before the chicken, or the chicken before the egg. Doesn't make any sense to me.
You got it, Nikki.
Which comes first? Yeah.
You got it, Nikki. Thanks for your super sticker. And Yeshua the King says, everyone watch Lloyd de Jong on Sharia. It's illegal for Muslims to teach us Sharia. It's legal to lie and spread by force.
Islam doesn't teach us lying. That is basically forbidden. It's haram. And I know, these people like Aydemir, he will promote this idea of taqiyya. So this concept called taqiyya, okay, is a Shia doctrine, okay, which has absolutely nothing to do with the Sunni Muslims. Okay, I'm a Sunni Muslim. Okay, we are taught from small that taqiyya is an evil, and this ingenious concept, okay, practiced by the Shia, and of course I as a Muslim will denounce and disavow anything concerning taqiyya. But it's really pathetic to see Islamophobes, carrier Islamophobes, using this term taqiyya and apply it to 1.6 billion Muslims all around the world for a Shia doctrine. Okay.
May I respond to that too quickly, James?
Sure.
First off, I've never talked about taqiyya, and I've even said that the concept of taqiyya is often exaggerated by people who don't understand Islam. It is mainly a Shia thing, but it's not exclusively Shia. But the issue is, here I have a hadith, and I will quickly read a very small part to you. We talked about it earlier. Muhammad commands to kill Ka'b bin Ashraf. His companion then says, would you like me to kill him? Prophet says yes, and then he says, then allow me to say something wrong to deceive Ka'b, to lure him in order to kill him. Muhammad says, you may say it. Then he goes and lures the guy out and then kills him. Here, Muhammad explicitly allows the guy to lie in order to kill his opponent.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Yeshua the King says, study Sharia. Don't waste your time with the Quran and Sunnah. The Islamic scholars already did the legwork, and the final rulings are in the Sharia. Is this true, Muslim apologist?
That is gibberish because the Sharia are derived from the Quran and the Sunnah, so it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I said, it's basically which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Okay, so it's Sharia is part of the Quran and Sunnah. So if you study the Quran and Sunnah, it means you are studying the Sharia. Sharia means Islamic law. It's all Islamic way of life. So doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
Did I say it right? Is it Sunnah or Sunnah?
Sunnah.
Thank you.
Sunnah.
Cameron Hall says the killing of, let me know if I mispronounce, Kabi bin al-Shraf.
Ka'b bin Ashraf.
Ka'b bin Ashraf.
Thank you. And other critics was justified in the Sunnah. How is this not a violent doctrine?
Then I should ask the questioner, is it legal for a country to go to another nation, okay, and kill that person because that person is deemed to be a threat to the state? This is something that has been practiced throughout the ages, and it's it's pretty much, I already gave examples in my speech, in my opening statement. I talked about Jonathan Pollard. I talked about how America treated Edward Snowden, how the assassination of Bin Laden happened, and most recently Ayman al-Zawahiri. Is it legal for the US to go to Afghanistan and drone strike a person just because the person attacks you?
That's very beautiful. What about
that's fine for you, right? That's
Muhammad
fine
had people
you,
killed who offended.
It's not fine for Muslims to do that, right? I mean, it's
very nice. What about
acceptable?
Bringing up other people's things to justify your prophet killing people because they offended him. Brilliant.
I'm trying to show you the context. That's why you're taking things out of context. That's why you think that the prophet cannot do these certain things, but other people are doing exactly the same things in today's world. So that shows your hypocrisy, Idemir.
Yeah, the prophet can screw himself.
This one coming in from dude.
Yeah, so do you.
Coming in from Stop Scamming Man says, hello again to the Muslim Apologist. Gentlemen, I'd be interested to know what you think of Malaysia's apostasy laws and the recently removed law against non-Muslim publications using words like Allah.
I think the question is two-folded. So in Malaysia, we don't actually have an apostasy law per se. We have laws governing insults towards Islam. So let's say if Idemir here were to do something like what he did, what he's doing now with his channel in Malaysia, then he's going to have to face very severe consequences, okay? But we don't really have an apostasy law. I mean, there are people who actually apply to be apostates in the Islamic cause, and some of them have actually been approved. So there's no real law governing about apostates. And also in Malaysia, we have we have 14 states in Malaysia, okay? So each state have different laws governing apostasy, according to whichever preference they choose. So in Malaysia, of course, if you insult Islam, then you're going to face a lot of problems. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. So the second question is, I need to answer this. Sorry, sure. James. Okay, so the second question was, second part of the question was about over in the usage of the word over in non-Muslim publications. I personally do not agree with this. Okay. But the reasons by the government is that it will cause instability and disharmony to Muslims. I don't agree with it, but I'm not in power, so I can't do anything about it. All right.
You got it, and thank you very much for your question. This one coming in from Nemesis says, AP, would Islam win a medal in the Victim Olympics?
Well, I think it does a good job. I mean, from the very beginning, the whole idea is we are oppressed, the others are oppressing us because they are not letting us oppress them. And in this example, in today's debate, you have seen the very same thing. MENG says, we can oppress you, but that is okay. It's not oppression when we do it. But when you dislike our oppression, then you are an Islamophobe, boo-hoo. So, and then I'm accused of being disrespectful. Wow.
This one coming in from Franco Trujillo says, what does Islam say about the LGBT?
James, I think you wanted to respond
go ahead.
To that quickly.
Yeah, so, I mean, okay, so where do I begin? I mean, if you are talking about Muslim victims, I think, I think Muslims who have won the Olympics for Muslim victims, not apostates. I mean, how many apostates are actually being killed in the world today? Probably close to zero, right? So, if you look at history, right up from I would say from the end of the Caliphate right up to now, okay, or the Ottoman Caliphate, there were many Muslims who are being killed. Okay, even now, I mean, it's strange that that you think that Muslims are not victims at the moment when you were talking about the Uyghurs. So I think you're being a hypocrite here, okay? Because you on one hand you try to abuse, try to misuse the issue, the situation of the Uyghurs as some sort of a yardstick to prop up your position, but at the same time you also try to deny that Muslims are also victims. Okay?
So let's get this straight. Islam establishes itself as an empire and declares war on the world from the very beginning, but we are supposed to care about the victims who die as a result of that war against the world. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, why should I care about you apostates too? See, that's why you're trying to tell people too, right? You're saying, oh, we are apostates. We cannot be killed because we are for freedom of expression. So why So why are you not helping us? Why are you not helping us?
It's not us who declare war against
Don't
the
be a
world and try to
hypocrite. Don't be a
convert them.
hypocrite.
It's not us
Don't
who
be a
convert the world by
hypocrite.
the use of the sword. But go ahead.
When you commit apostasy, you're committing an act against the Muslim state. It's really that simple. Okay?
I don't care about the Muslim state.
Yeah, I don't care about your way of life either. So that's not the point.
Okay, funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one coming in
Okay.
from, you guessed it, Franco Trujillo says, what does Islam say about the LGBTQ plus community and how they should be treated?
Is the question for me? Sorry.
I think so.
I can answer too if you want to.
I don't know if you want AP to answer this one.
Let him answer first.
I mean, the hadith in the authentic hadith by Islamic standards, Muhammad says, whoever you find doing what the people of Lot did, which is universally understood as homosexual intercourse, kill the one who does it and the one to whom it is done. There's also another reference about driving out of your house those who are effeminate, and he says, curse those who dress like men and women who dress like women who dress like men and men who dress like women. So homosexuals are to be executed under Islam, according to Muhammad, and that was the law. So if they practice it, excuse me, that's what he will probably say. That was the law in Islam forever.
So, should I answer?
Yeah, if you want, I think it was originally for
sure.
you.
Yeah, okay. So basically, the LGBTQ thing, well, I can't speak for other nations, but, in Malaysia especially, we kind of tolerate them. I mean, we were talking about earlier about the term bapok, right? So, so yeah. So it's something that is tolerated in Muslim societies, but we don't accept it. I mean, there's no particular law, okay, in Malaysia, especially against LGBTQ, if they practice it in quietly and everything. But of course, if they do it publicly and they openly show off their whatever it is, then yeah, there are laws governing it. So yeah, I can't speak for other Muslim nations. I think other Muslim countries have different laws, and traditions and ethics regarding this. But Ademir, he lumps Muslims into one monolithic thing. And, he seems to think that the laws applies across the board. So each country is different, Ademir. Okay,
the question was not Malaysia. The question was Islam, and I quoted what Muhammad said and what Islamic scholars rule.
Yes, the problem is we are not practicing it now. So it's moot. Okay, it's academic.
Well, that was the question. It was about Islam, not about what you practice now.
Yeah. Okay.
This one coming in.
I mean.
Go ahead.
Okay, no man, it's okay. Okay.
This one from Bilal Ali says, Islam beat me up and took my lunch money, so confirm it's dangerous. I can confirm it's dangerous. I think they were just joking. This one from Samir Farsain says, AP, do you think people like yourself provoke hate?
Absolutely not. If there's a side effect of people hating me and people like me as a result of what I'm doing, then that's entirely natural. If some hate comes out of the criticism that I do and all that, even if it comes out from people who listen to me and who end up hating Islam or end up hating Muslim sentiments, that is part of the issue. I do my part and always say that I don't hate Muslims. I don't think they are evil. I don't think they should be hated. I don't recommend it. I am against it. I think you shouldn't do this. I don't hate people based on their beliefs and ideas. People are simply misguided and wrong and have corrupt worldviews. That's what the issue is. But it's quite obvious that I get much more hate from the Islamic camp than there is hate from me or others toward Muslims.
You got this one coming in from Yeshua the King. Says, Imam Ghazali, I think they're quoting them, says, quote, it is legal to lie if attaining the goal is legal and obligatory to lie if the goal is obligatory. Is spreading Islam obligatory? Yes, they say. I think they're saying that it's justified to lie in order to spread Islam.
I think Menj is frozen.
Might be that he's just standing really still. So, Muslim apologist, can you hear us? We'll give him a second. In the meantime, I'm sure it'll catch up. It's just the connection. Our guests are linked in the description, folks. Both MENJ, Muslim Apologist, and AP have their links in the description. That includes if you're listening via the podcast. Want to encourage you, you can learn more about their views. He just entered the waiting room, so I think he's coming in with a different device. Let me see here. Can you hear us, Muslim Apologist?
Yeah, hello again. Sorry, my laptop kind of froze on me. Yeah.
No problemo. Glad to have you back. And the question, I'll read it again real quick. This is from,
All right.
there it is. Yeshua the King says, I think they're quoting Imam Ghazali, says, quote, it is legal to lie if attaining the goal is legal and obligatory. They're saying it's legal to lie if attaining the goal is legal. And it's obligatory to lie if the goal is obligatory. Is spreading Islam obligatory? Yes, they say. So I think they're saying that it's, according to Islam, it would be ethical and okay to lie to spread Islam. What do you think, MENJ?
The answer is no, of course not. Okay, we don't believe in this. Okay, I think the person was quoting Imam Ghazali, but I've never heard of Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, saying such a thing. So he needs to give me the reference if there's any. So, but in Islam, we don't believe in lying. We don't believe in lying to achieve a certain goal, and we certainly don't believe in lying as a practice. Okay, so lying is a big no-no. Okay. Except for certain circumstances such as war, for example, then yes, okay. But there are really very rare exceptions to lying, and definitely spreading of Islam is not one of them. I mean, I'm not supposed to lie and hope that Islam will lie about Islam and hope that people will accept Islam because of my lie. That is a sinful act to do, and I find that disgusting actually to even think about it. Yeah.
You got it, Ann. Thank you very much for this question. Appreciate it. Yeshua the King says reliance of the traveler. Page 744, quote, permissible lying. I think it's a follow-up to that one.
Yeah, that's the book. The book quotes Imam Ghazali. That's not a book of Imam Ghazali, but it quotes him saying that. You can look it up. That's what Imam Ghazali says.
Yeah, so I don't accept the reliance of the traveler, okay, because we don't in this part of the Muslim world, in fact, okay. I mean, we Muslims in Malaysia, especially in Indonesia and this region, we rely on texts such as Subuhus Salam or Bulughul Maram or even Imam Nawawi's 40 hadiths and maybe even Tambihul Ghafilin, okay. But we don't even have the translation of the reliance of the traveler in our national language even. So the reliance of the traveler is something very archaic, and we Muslims, generally speaking, Muslims don't even follow the text. Okay, we don't even accept it. Okay.
But the reliance of the traveler is a very widely accepted Muslim Islamic book of jurisprudence, which is why it has
evidence for that.
Which is why it has big priority in being the first jurisprudence book which was translated into English.
It's not the first jurisprudence book.
Which was translated fully into English because of its importance. And it is by saying that lying is absolutely not allowed, you are basically contradicting.
Listen to me. This is the first book, okay?
You are contradicting. You don't even hear what I'm. You don't even hear what I'm saying.
Because you're saying a lie. You're saying Reliance of the Traveler is the first Muslim juristic book in the world. I mean, come on. I mean,
did I say that? If you listened to me instead of jumping into it all the time, you would hear that I said it is the first jurisprudential book which was translated fully into English. That's what I said.
It's not even the first book written in English. Okay, this is the first book, one of the first that I know of.
I don't think that's considered a hadith book. That's not considered a fiqh book.
No, Muwatta Imam Malik is pretty much the same thing as Reliance. Okay, and it's published in 1981. I mean, Reliance of Traveler was translated in the 90s. Oh, come on. I mean,
yeah, because it's the first actual.
Okay, you are ignorant. Okay, you're totally ignorant. Okay,
okay, whatever, man. whatever, man. I mean, you are contradicting Islamic scholars, but I'm lying, sure. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Please name me the Islamic scholars that I contradict. Okay. You
Already have. Let's move on. Come on.
No, you didn't. You just made an assumption. You just made a claim. Okay. You didn't name anyone, right?
Yeah.
You got it. This one coming in from Do Appreciate Your Question. Mercedes F1 fan says, invite me on, James. I want to debate apostate prophet from Mango Tea. I don't think we're Mango Tea under a sock account. I don't know if we could do that. Yeshua the King says, Quran and Sunnah rookie move, use Sharia. But MENJ, I think you already addressed that. Not a verse. Says, oh, AP, why do you only look at the bad stuff? Muhammad was nice to a cat. Thus, Muslims actually like cats. Islam doesn't prescribe executing the cats. That's good, right? Don't be a cataphobe. I think she's using a satirical argument. I'm sure you know Muslim apologists. We'll give you a chance to respond.
That's one of those examples of Islamophobia. Okay, so this is how Islamophobes behave. Okay, they take something out of isolation and then they twist it to mean something else. And this is how we Muslims are being derided, humiliated, by the likes of this carrier Islamophobe, for example. And this is not strange to me. Yeah.
You know what's actually very interesting as a fact to mention, since we are talking about delivering information here correctly or incorrectly? Muhammad Muhammad used to receive revelations supposedly from the angel Gabriel in the Arabic form, in form of seizures, by the way, seizure attacks. And one day the angel Gabriel did not come to him, and he was very upset, very sad about this, and was like, why is he not coming? I'm so upset, I don't know what to do. So the entire day he spent like that. He went home, and then he realized at some point that there was a dog inside his house. He said, who brought this dog here? And had that dog removed. And then in the evening or the next day, the angel Gabriel, his imaginary friend, actually did come to him. And Muhammad said, why did you not come? I was waiting for you all day. And the angel Gabriel said to him, angels do not enter a house in which there is a dog or a picture of a being. And Muhammad, after this is recorded in authentic hadiths, Muhammad after this became angry at the dogs and commanded his people to exterminate, to kill all dogs in the city, so that all dogs were killed. After which he said, from now on, don't kill the dogs except the black ones. But this is actually something that Muhammad did, speaking of animals.
This one, we'll give you a chance to respond to that? And then we'll go to the next one.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So, you see, again, this carrier Islamophobe, he's taking things out of context. Again, the killing of the dogs, the culling in the city of the dogs is actually due to a plague carried by the dogs. So, you can contradict me all you want, but let me finish.
The context is exactly as I said it.
Excuse me, let me speak. Okay, so basically, the culling of the dog is a separate incident from the dog being found in the Prophet's house. So, the dog being in the house, yes, it denies revelation because angels will not enter the place where there's a dog. Okay, you can disagree with it. But that's basically what it is. It is as it is. All right, and it's a different incident from the culling of the dog. Okay? The culling of dogs in the city of Medina, because at the time there was a huge plague, and the dogs were found to be carrying that plague. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered these dogs to be killed. Okay? It's pretty simple as that. So he's conflating two different incidents and putting it together as one, as though dogs are something evil and something to be derided or something to be killed. See, this is how carrier Islamophobes do. They try to plant these seeds of evil into your mind and warp your impression of Islam. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
pretty sure that's wrong, but let's go ahead. Yeah.
This one coming in from Do Appreciate Your Question. Rob Sanders says, how can Islam be interpreted so many ways if an all-knowing God revealed it? Taliban equals violence. You say it's not violent, though. I think they're mainly getting at the
James, I just so he just accused me of basically lying or connecting things the wrong way. I think it would be very nice if I could quickly set the record straight here by saying, if you look at Sahih Muslim 2105, you will see Allah's messenger did not receive revelations from Gabriel. It was evening. Gabriel finally met him after the dog was gone and said, "You promised you would come the previous night." The angel said, "Yes, but we do not enter a house in which there is a dog or a picture." Then on that very morning, he commanded the killing of the dogs until he announced that the dog kept for the orchards should also be killed, but he spared the dog meant for the protection of extensive fields. Sahih Muslim 2105, exactly as I said it.
This one from Rob Sanders. They're saying, if it is an all-powerful God, why are there disagreements in this holy book? If this God is all-powerful, who wrote it?
Well, humans are not the same. Okay, I mean, if you look at how Islam is practiced throughout the ages, the first 3 generations, the Salaf, were the pure form of Islam. Okay. And then throughout the ages, Islam spread all over the world. So, of course, different ethnicities, different cultures, different traditions, they adopt Islam. Okay, like, for example, like my country, in my region, Islam came to the region in the 12th century. So back then we were Hindu, Buddhist. So we received Islam without any war, without any army coming into this region. Okay, Islam was spread by traders. So the king of this region accepted Islam, and then it was followed by his peoples. So we have been Muslim for over 600 to 700 years. So how we practice Islam in this region is going to be different from how Islam is practiced in Arabia. It's going to be different from how Islam is practiced in North Africa. It's going to be different from how Islam is even practiced in Europe and America today. So we are not a monolithic group. We are, of various ethnicities and traditions and cultures and worldviews. So the only thing that unites us is Islam. So you see, carrier Islamophobes, when something happens in the end of another part of the world, he immediately blames the other, the Muslim world. When it's a huge space. Okay.
This one coming in from Do Appreciate Your Question. Yeshua the King strikes again. Oh, we got that one. Malavia says, every debate Muslim apologist does, once he starts losing, he starts making personal jabs at his opponents. Is this true, Muslim apologist?
I'm just human, okay? I'm just a Muslim apologist. I'm not a saint. Okay? Yeah.
Everyone it's just natural. You experience Apostate Prophet, you get this urge to just needle him. I'm teasing. We appreciate you folks.
It's understandable. I mean, I do a lot of mockery and stuff too during the debate. It gets heated. It's normal.
This one coming in from Samir Farsain. Do you, Apostate Prophet, know the punishment for deserting the army in the United States?
For deserting the army? I don't know. Probably some disciplinary punishment and dishonorable, discharge. I'm sure if there is a state of war going on, different standards would apply. But I guess the implication here is that if you leave Islam and an Islamic State, then you are basically a traitor, which is why it's okay for you to be killed, just like it's okay for you to be punished in America to desert the army, which is a ludicrous comparison and not even accurate. I don't get executed if I renounce my American citizenship or say bad things about America.
You got it. Apostate, or I should say, Muslim apologist, this is for both of you. But first, Chris G asks AP. Around half of the people on the planet identify as female. What do you think about how women are treated under Islam? And then, after AP responds, I'd like to hear Muslim apologist as well. Go ahead, AP.
Islam is obviously very discriminatory and very oppressive towards women. This is a universally known fact. I mean, everybody knows that Islam is definitely not the ideal religion for a woman. You don't want to be a Muslim if you are a woman. Some people do become Muslims and they often end up regretting it. Others maybe like it because they have such tendencies. Maybe they are happy, I don't know. But Islam is very clear. The Quran says in chapter 4, verse 34, that men are in charge of women and that women must obey, that if they fail to be obedient, men can discipline their wives, including reprimanding them, separating beds, and finally beating them. Islam allows this, the Quran allows this. and it's said that women are deficient in intelligence. He said that they come in the shape of a devil because he couldn't resist the sight of a woman walking outside, had to relieve his sexual pressure at home with one of his many wives. Muhammad had 11 wives at one point, married a child, and so on. And of course, we have the hijab, which is supposed to be a tool that keeps Muslim women in check at home, hidden from the public, behind the scenes. Men are in the front, women are in the back. There is no equality. There is no chance for equality. Women are subdued, and that is completely archaic.
This one coming in from Emi and Jay didn't give you a response. Go ahead, Emi and Jay.
Sorry, you're supposed to give me an answer, right? Yeah. So I was actually half expecting this topic to come up. So I think I've already talked about it at length in my debate discussion with Randolph. Yeah. So that was a very I think that was very clear actually on how Muslims Muslim women are treated in Islam. So or whatever say that Mr. Aidamir said just now was rubbish. Okay? It's just absurd. Okay. So in Islam we honor and respect women, of course. I mean, the Prophet himself said, the heavens is at the feet of mothers, and I mean, I haven't seen a mother, being a male. Okay, so women are, given, a position in Islam, a role in Islam. Okay, you see, in Islam we have gender roles. Okay, a man is supposed to do this, certain things, and they're not supposed to do that. Whereas a woman is supposed to do certain things, and they're not supposed to do that. Okay, so I mean, this is natural. Okay, this is a natural order of things in any human society. But it's just that Western liberal secularism, they, seem to think that women, should be given, roles which are supposed to be for men, and it affects the family unit. Okay, so men, as I've said before in my debate discussion with Randolph, man is basically the leader of the household. Okay, leader of the family, whereas women are the role leaders and the lead person in the household. I mean, this is a role that we have been assigned with. So I mean, Western secular liberalism, of course, they would disagree with this, but have you ever seen a woman walking bare-chested on the streets? Okay, compare that to a man walking bare-chested on the streets. So what do you think would happen? See, so even in Western societies, women are not given equal rights, because if a man can walk bare-chested on the streets, why can't a woman walk bare-chested on the streets? So there's gender roles. I mean, this is acceptable. Okay, and regarding 434, okay, Surah An-Nisa, verse 434, about the so-called beating. Okay, basically there are 3 steps. Okay, towards that. Okay, the so-called beating is used as a last resort, and the beating is conducted with a miswak, which I have here. Okay, is this little stick here? Okay, Aidamir. So are you actually afraid of this little stick? Okay, I mean, this is in the hadith. I mean, you like to search for hadith, right? Why don't you look for the hadith where the Prophet said that you're not supposed to hurt the woman, your wife, and you are supposed to beat her with only a miswak? Okay, why don't you look it up right now?
Find me that.
Read it out to us.
Find me that hadith. Find me that hadith.
I can't do that because my laptop is not working. I mean, it's not working properly right now.
You will not be able to tell me the source because it's not there.
It is there. You just look for. Right now, I'm just using it as a back scratcher.
That is an interpretation.
You are afraid of my back scratcher. Okay, this is what you are afraid of. Okay, this is what we use. According to Surah An-Nisa, verse 34. This is what you use to beat your wife.
Excuse me. No, the Quran doesn't say any such thing. The Quran only says
it is in the hadith. I'm not saying that it's in the Quran. It's in the hadith.
You just said that. The Quran just says beat them, and you're making a mockery here by saying,
because
"Are you really afraid of this?"
The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us to use this. Okay, you can check.
You are authorized to beat women with a stick, and you're making a mockery out of it by saying, "Are you really afraid of this?" Ha ha ha! What a disgusting.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Lepanto says, where does the sun set? Not sure what they're getting at. I have a feeling one of you guys does.
So according to Muhammad's hadith, the sun sets. The sun goes to a place at night, and according to one version, including in the Quran, it sets in a muddy spring. According to Muhammad's extensive explanation, it goes till it prostrates itself under the throne of Allah and then asks for permission. And Allah gives it permission to rise again, so it comes again in the morning from the other side. And one day Allah will say, no, this time you will not come. This time go back where you came from, so that the sun will turn around and come from the other side. That's what Muhammad described with his primitive understanding of the world. But I'm really curious what MENG thinks about that.
Yeah, basically, the sun goes on about its orbit. The Earth and the sun has its own orbit, and they rotate around themselves. What you were describing is basically a metaphysical hadith. It's not supposed to be scientific, and you're interpreting it scientifically. Okay, it's ridiculous, and you are actually cooperating or cohabiting with a person who believes.
How is that metaphysical?
Let me finish. You are actually cooperating and cohabiting with a person who believes that the sea is split into two, okay? And he believes that a man, a first century man, is God walking on earth. These are things which are metaphysical, right? According to their religion.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can accept that, but you cannot accept the idea that the hadith is talking about something metaphysical, which is beyond your realm of understanding. And you use this to attack Islam. Congratulations.
I don't live together with somebody who believes in these things. I have no idea what you're talking about.
You just did. You had a road trip with him.
With David Wood?
Wow. Yeah, with David
Wood. Are you guys roommates?
No, I was just hanging around and driving around with him. We spent a few days together to record stuff and all that, and he describes this as basically living together, which is very funny. Very nice deflection from the actual issue here. What in the world is metaphysical?
I'm not deflecting, I just answered.
What in the world is metaphysical about Muhammad saying, do you know where the sun goes? The guy says, no, Allah knows best. Allah and the messenger know best. He says, it goes till it prostrates itself on the throne of Allah. He clearly asks, do you know where it goes at sunset?
Okay?
That's not metaphysical.
It's not supposed to be scientific. Come on. The Quran clearly, there are Quranic verses which say that the sun and the earth has its own orbit. Okay?
No, it doesn't. There are not. It says the sun and the moon. It says the sun and the moon follow each other. It never says that they.
Thank you very much. You just proved my point. Congratulations.
Does the sun follow the moon? No.
This one coming in.
In his orbit. Oh my God.
From Yeshua the King strikes again. Says unsheathed sword. Page 73. Ibn Taymiyyah said the scholarly consensus is, quote, anyone who insults Muhammad is to be killed. No repentance is sought.
Is that a question for me?
I think so.
Yeah, Ibn Taymiyyah, right? I think Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. I think he's talking in the context of an Islamic state. So yeah, I have no problems with it. That's what I've basically been touching on for the past 1 hour or so. So yeah, of course,
Islam is dangerous.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not. You're just being reflective. Okay. Yeah.
This one from Rob Sanders says, when asked for an example by AP, why are you bringing up Nazi Germany? What did that? I remember that came up. What was the reason why it came up?
No, I brought it up. Because I was giving an example of two Nazi officials who were assassinated by the Jews of the day, and it was celebrated by the Jewish population. So Idemir here was saying, show me some event in history where someone was killed for insulting Islam and the Muslims were celebrating. So I did show an example. Okay, so
let me.
But Idemir is not responding to that. Okay.
Let me reiterate and clarify what happened. I asked him to show me one example of somebody being attacked or killed for offending a religion other than Islam, and the people of that religion then celebrating it, like in Islam, like in the Salman Rushdie case. And what he brought up as an example to that is Jews killing Nazis in Nazi Germany.
No, it's because this was before the war. Okay, come on. Why are you laughing your fake laugh? I gave you an example already. I answered your question basically. All right.
This one coming in from. Do appreciate it. Samir Farsain strikes again. Says, AP, I was invited to a boring comedy show and I need to laugh for no reason. Like, I think they maybe mean like you. Can I please borrow your ticklish underwear? What does that mean? What is there a story behind? Do you have ticklish underwear? What does this mean?
I wish I did, but no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Interesting. This one coming sure you don't. And this one coming in from Bilal Ali says, Islam beat me up and took my... Oh, we got that one. The Orthodox Apologetics channel says, for AP, I missed a lot of the debate. Did MENJ have any grapes? For MENJ, are you advocating for Westerners to destroy local Islam?
He didn't bring any grapes, but go ahead. Your answer.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, you can answer. The question is for you, isn't it?
No, I mean, it's for you, right? I mean, the first part, just answer the first part. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I guess the first part was about grapes, because I debated with another Muslim apologist who thought it was a very great idea to make a show of power by eating grapes while debating me while I'm talking. Unfortunately, MENG did not do the same thing, although it would have been very entertaining. But that's my part. Go ahead.
Wait,
Yeah.
True that as a power move, you started eating debates?
No, not him.
Not me. Not me. Yeah,
a different Muslim apologist.
No, he's referring to Brother Ali Dawa.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean, Ali Dawa. That sounds familiar. Okay, Ali Dawa as a power move.
Yeah.
Okay.
While I'm talking, he had somebody feed him grapes.
Yeah. I mean, I probably think that I would think that he has his reasons, but I guess I did something similar by showing the miswak. So yeah, the man is afraid of the miswak.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so yeah. So can you? Sorry, James. Can you repeat the question for me? I didn't remember. Yeah.
Oh, they said for MENJ, are you advocating for Westerners to destroy local Islam?
Of course not. I wouldn't wish that upon my Muslim brethren. It wouldn't make any sense for me to want Islam to be destroyed in the West. Why would I want to do that? Yeah. Why would I wish?
But it's okay if we do that, right? It's not bad if we do that. It's not dangerous. It's okay, right?
Why would it be okay? I mean, I would be on the streets opposing you. Okay.
This one from Nada. Go ahead. I didn't interrupt.
But you say it's okay for Islam to basically do all kinds of terrible things to us. So
because if you are in the Islamic State, then yes, it's fine. Because
what if we establish laws which also oppress Islam and say, hey, Islam is actually bad for society, so we should get rid of it and kill them? Why is that not acceptable?
I'm interested to see Western secular liberalism doing that. I would be very interested to see that happening.
I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying by your own logic that should also be okay, and you shouldn't be.
Yes, I'm being consistent. Go ahead, do it.
Okay,
go ahead
fine.
and do it.
Okay.
I want to see what happens. Yeah, I want to see what happens.
You got it. This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Notaverse strikes again, says, why does the Muslim apologist wear the red fizi, let me know if I pronounced it right, which originated in Southern Europe? Worn traditionally by the Christians, it was appropriated by the Ottoman military, replacing the turban.
Okay, so this is the fez, Turkish fez. I bought it from eBay from Istanbul itself. So yeah, it's Turkish in origin. There are Egyptian fezes. Okay, so in Malaysia we call this the tarbus, and in the Middle East it's known as the tarbush. Okay, so I don't claim to know where its origins are, but I wear it in respect of the Ottoman Empire, and because I'm facing someone who claims to be Turkish in origin, so I thought it would be a good idea to wear something which reminds him of his culture. And I always do this even in my videos. You will be seeing me wearing different hats. So sometimes I wear the songkok, the Malaysian headgear. Sometimes I wear something from Oman, from Africa. So it's all over the world. So I try to, I have this hobby of collecting hats from all over the Muslim world, and I wear them on my shows. Yeah.
Claiming to be of Turkish origin. I don't even.
This one coming in from, do want to remind you folks, if you haven't yet, share this video. If you have a friend who likes controversial debates, I'm sure you do. Maybe you have a group thread on Twitter or on Reddit. Maybe you like to share about debates. Discord, you name it. Hey, that share button is waiting just down below, as there are many people out there just like us, just as sick as us, who enjoy controversial debates. This one from Yeshua the King says, told ya he's allowed to lie, hashtag killing dogs. I don't understand what they mean by killing dogs. I remember that sounds like that came up before, but I'm trying
I already explained it, so yeah, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I presented the correct context, and he alleged that I was...
he didn't.
Presenting the wrong context, which I then read, in which the report clearly agrees with my.
Yeah, it happened after. It happened way after. Okay, you're just.
It clearly says there explicitly that morning he commanded that all dogs should be killed. I just read it to you.
No, you didn't. You didn't read another hadith which says that the dogs had plagues at the time.
Do you want me to repeat it?
No, don't waste my time.
I thought so.
This one from Franco True Hello says, if Allah is omniscient, does he know what it's like to be the experience of a submissive woman? I think they're saying, like, if Allah is all-knowing, then Allah would have to have the experiential knowledge, like know what it feels like to be a submissive woman as well.
Sorry, James, could you repeat the question, because my AirPods just died, so you were cutting off, so I had
no problem.
Switch to yeah.
They had said that if Allah is omniscient, does he know what it's like to be a submissive woman? Or, I mean, theoretically, you could also say, well, go for it. I'll give you a chance to respond yourself.
Sorry, the question is Muslim submissive to women? I don't understand.
They're saying if Allah is all-knowing, then he must know what it's like. He must, like, have the knowledge of what it's like to be a submissive woman. Like, he must have that, like, experiential knowledge of being a submissive woman if he has all knowledge. That's what they're saying.
Doesn't really make sense to me, but I guess he would, because he's the all-knowing, all-powerful being, so he would know. That is why God has given us, or God in the Quran has given us laws, okay, governing the affairs of men and women. Okay, so yeah, I think I answered that.
You got it. And with that, I want to say, folks, thanks so much. Well, let me get at least one standard question. Is, forgive me, guys, I know we had you here a long time already, but I do want to. Brother Ben said, can you comment? This is for you, Apostate Prophet. Can you comment on Ali Dawa's accusation that you create Islamophobia and that you even create violence against Muslims?
Yeah, so I am here always explicitly saying that violence is wrong, that we shouldn't counter Islamic aggression and hate with violence and with hate. I say that these things are wrong for a reason, and we oppose Islam because they are violent and hate, because it is violent and hateful. If we respond with violence and hate and blood, what's the point of opposing Islam? I clearly and openly say these things all the time. I even say that I don't hate people like Ali Dawa. I just think that he's dumb and misguided and whatever it is. While he and Muslim apologists openly say that people like me should be executed and that they are proud of that under an Islamic state. So they actually openly support oppression and violence against apostates and so-called Islamophobes and whatever it is, whereas I oppose it, but allegedly it is me who creates hate. That's how that works is a real mystery to me.
This one from Caden Puckett.
Sorry, James, can I respond? Sorry, James, can I respond to that?
Sure.
To that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So of course, yeah, I know of the clip where they made a musical out of Ali Dawa's statement, right? So yeah. Yeah, I don't mind repeating the same thing. I mean, if you are such a pussy that you don't think that apostasy laws should be applied in a Muslim state, then yeah, so be it. But we as a Muslim,
I'm a pussy because I don't want laws under which I would be executed for leaving my religion. You're such an
yes, in an Islamic state, may I remind you, because you are not in an Islamic state. That is why you are pretty much running around.
Your religion
lies about Islam.
Your religion is a dark thing in this world.
Your ideology, whatever it is lousy, stupid, and ridiculous. Okay?
Great comeback.
This one from Caden Puckett says, thanks, Caden, for pointing out. For real, if there's anybody else who's super chat I missed, we're getting to this one right now. Caden says, AP, Doesn't the Christ Church Manifesto say on page 35, quote, Christians, let our lives be stronger than death to fight against the enemies of the Christian people? Ask yourself, what would Pope Urban II do?
I believe it does say that. The issue is it also says that is only one section in where he also addresses other people. He says to conservatives, to Christians, to Antifa and communists, and some other group to this. So he has a separate message for each one of them, in which he basically says, let's do this, let's do this. He even says to Muslims. I believe there's even a section below that where he says to Muslims, why don't you do this and this and this? Let us this and this and this. Does that mean he was inspired by? Does that mean he's inspired? I'm talking.
There was no subsection.
I am talking. Does that mean he's inspired by conservatism, Christianity, Antifa and communism and Islam at the same time because he addresses all these different factions? No. The guy is just talking to different people. The book clearly explains that he's inspired by political, racial motives. And to the question, are you a Christian? He clearly says, that is complicated. I will let you know when I know. Is that something that a religious Christian would say? Definitely not. So, I mean, it's absurd to say that this was inspired by Christianity. And also, we have to come to the following challenge there. Even if that guy were inspired by Christianity, which is certainly not true, do you find Christians approving of this or celebrating it? No. Do you find Muslims approving and celebrating attacks against people who offend Islam? Yes, abundantly.
Can I respond to that?
Go for it.
Okay, so yeah, as usual, sometimes I wonder whether you're a closeted Christian or not, because you seem to be an apologist for Christianity most of the time.
No, I'm just merely correcting your facts. That's it.
I don't think so. So I think the commenter made a good point. So there is a section in that manifesto where it talks about Christianity and the crusades, okay, and that he's doing it for the glory and the honor of Christianity. So yeah, you can shake your head all you want, but you can read the manifesto for yourself. And there's no sections about Muslims, okay? But his actions pretty much speak for himself. So it doesn't matter. Do
you really want to challenge me on that and bring out the source again to just prove you wrong? Okay, fine.
Just open the manifesto and you can read it. Okay, all right. His actions actually speak for himself. So yeah, I mean, he murdered 81 people, I think. Yeah. Or is it?
Let me find the manifesto and quickly see what it says. Okay. See if I made that up and lied about it or not. Let's see. The manifesto of the Christ Church shooter of the terrorist is called The Great Replacement. It is all about racial matters and inspired by racial matters, which is what the manifesto is about. The title is right there. He talks about replacement the entire time and about how he doesn't have anything against Muslims, but he chose Muslims as first target, because that would cause the widest attention and outrage. Next would be different racial groups. That's explicitly what he says. Now let me see if where he says two Christians. You just accused me of making something up again. Do you want me to share my screen here? I have it. It says section 1, to conservatives. He talks to conservatives. Section 2, to Christians. He talks to Christians. He doesn't say, I do this for the glory of Christianity. He says, Christians, remember this and this and this. Third section, to Antifa, Marxists, communists. Fourth section, correction, it doesn't say Muslims, it says Turks. And by Turks, he's referring to Muslims, basically, in the text. You can live in peace in your own lands, no harm may come to you on the east side of the Bosporus, and so on. That's basically what it says. 4 sections: conservatives, Christians, Antifa and communists, and Turks. Does that mean he's inspired by all of these people? No.
This one coming in.
I mean, there's a section of Christianity, so yeah, I mean, it's pretty much clear, right? What's the allegiance is. Yeah.
Mathis Lazat says, do they take Bitcoin for my jizya payment? And this one coming in from... this one from Caden Puckett says, Apostate Prophet, are Christianity and Judaism more, 1, coherent than Islam, and 2, encouraging of peace, education, and fairness compared to Islam? So one, are they more coherent? One, are they more, you could say, ethical?
Coherent, peace, education, and what?
Fairness.
So they are definitely more coherent. They have a much more coherent, much more extensive collection of. I mean, the Bible is a huge collection of books that are extremely, full of the history of everything from a biblical point of view. Those are very thin pages compared to the Quran. The Quran is very tiny in comparison to the Bible. Do you really want to compare the pages and number of words? I'm sure you wouldn't want to do that. The Quran is not coherent at all. It is the Quran itself in its written text is very repetitive and incoherent. Its beliefs make no sense and are self-contradictory. That said, I would say that from my point of view, I would think that Christianity and Judaism are in a sense incoherent too. If I didn't find them incoherent, I wouldn't refuse to believe in them. But when it comes to peace, I would say out of the three, Christianity is probably the most peace advocating one. I would say that Judaism within its own laws is not quite as peaceful as the latter. Islam is the least peaceful. When it comes to encouraging education, I don't think I can really say anything about that. I've never really thought about that aspect.
This one from Mr. Monster. Who do you think won the debate? I would put
Sorry, James, can I respond to that earlier question? Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, James. So, so again, Idemir with his rubbish, his anti-Islam rubbish. And about Judaism and Christianity, since, I've studied it for over 20 years. So, I should be the expert, on the subject, on the subject matter. And, regarding whether the context of the Bible itself, well, the Bible is a collection of books which was written over the ages, okay? Whereas the Quran has only one author and was revealed, over 23 years. So, the Bible is actually, written in chronological order. It's supposed to be like a historical, chronological thing, whereas the Quran is thematic. So, of course, things are, like what Idemir, said, misrepresented as jumbled and garbled, but it's not. It's thematic. It's based on certain themes. Okay, you need to actually, study it a bit more than just simply, reading off a page from an Islamophobe channel, website. So regarding whether, whether Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are peaceful or not, which is the more peaceful, I would say, I think the violence is across the board. And I think Daniel has already touched on this many, many times, Daniel Hakikaju. So I actually agree with Daniel's position in that, violence is something which we cannot escape. It's part of life. There's no utopia where nobody commits violence and everyone is holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Okay, there's no such thing. Okay? So if you want to say that Christianity is more peaceful than the other, no, it's not true, because we have the Inquisitions, we have the Crusades, we have World War I, we have World War II. All these were started by Christians.
Daniel Hakikaju says that Christianity is more peaceful.
There's no such thing as Judaism being more peaceful than the other, or Islam being more. Stop. Okay, please let me finish. Okay, I didn't interrupt you, so I hope you interrupt me.
Sure. Sorry.
So so in Islam, of course there is violence, but it's controlled and there are reasons for it. Okay. And Christianity also believes in a just war concept. So there are violence in the as well. Okay. Just because Christians today are pussies and they don't want to commit religion, their religion doesn't enforce the laws of the Bible. Doesn't mean that Muslims should be subjected to the same standard. Okay?
Wow! Did you guys hear that? Did everybody hear that? What did you just say, Menj? What did you just say? Can you repeat that?
It's True Blood Sports tonight. This one coming in from Mr.
Can you repeat
Monster.
what you just said? What would happen if somebody came here and said the same thing about Muslims? What would happen if people said similar things about Muslims? What would happen if people name-called Muslims in such a way, which I do not even do? You people would go crazy. You would go nuts. You would start crying like fucking babies while claiming to be the tough ones, and would cry about Islamophobia and how you are oppressed. And here you are calling other people names and call an entire religious group pussies. Really, man, this is the true face of Muslim apologetics. Here we have it.
This one coming in from, do appreciate your question. Mr. Monster says, who do you think won the debate? I would put my money on Apostate. Prophet, you have a fan out there, AP. Malavia, thanks for your support.
For the first time, yeah.
Appreciate it. And Helper of Man says, are concubines allowed in Islam? Can they refuse their master of sexual relations?
On this subject, I have to admit that I'm not too learned on it. Okay, so I'm not too learned on it. So I don't think I can, answer it properly.
You aren't learned on anything. You're a complete idiot who has nothing in his brain, who attacks the entire conversation.
All right, hold on.
Whenever a fact is brought against you, you start making assumptions about my education because you have nothing informative to say because you are an idiot.
James, can you please let me answer the question? Okay, thank you.
I have no respect left for you. You're a bastard. You're an ugly, idiotic bastard.
You're a moron. You're a fool. Okay, you're a fool. Okay, you're just a liar. Okay? You're a carrier Islamophobe. Okay, so let me answer the question. Right? Yeah, I have zero respect for you anyway in the first place. Right?
I don't care if you have respect for me or not. You follow a stupid ideology. You are stupid. You defend stupidity.
Sorry, James,
you stand for stupidity. Stupidity radiates out of your stupid face. That's what you are. And that's what you stand for.
All right, I want to give you a chance to respond.
You spread hate. You spread hate. Hate is all you stand for. Hate is what you do. Insulting people on their religious groups is what you do. You are a piece of shit.
You're afraid of the miswak. Let's not forget that. Okay.
What's happening?
You are done today, man. You are done today. You are totally finished today. You are done today. You have been exposed as a fraud, as an ignorant moron.
Congratulations for showing the face of Islamophobia today. We now know your hatred.
I've got to give Muslim Apologist a quick chance to respond regarding the actual question. Please, don't use this as a chance to attack back. Let's just get back to our topic.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, regarding concubines, right? So, like I said, I'm not really an expert on the subject, but I'll try to answer to the best of my ability before I was interrupted. Okay. So, basically, there are laws governing slavery. So, Muslims are, allowed to, have their right hand, slaves as concubines, but there are laws governing it. So, if you take a concubine as your wife, slave wife, then you're only allowed to be committed to that person, and if there's a child born, then the child has all the rights of a normal wife who's not a slave, and so on. Yeah.
But
speaking of, there is a question about that. We'll give you a chance.
What do you think about marrying it? What do you think about marrying a child? Would you marry a 9-year-old? Do you think it's okay to marry a 9-year-old girl?
This is the question.
Your Islamophobia again.
Do you think it's okay to marry a 9-year-old girl?
Don't worry. The question
is okay to marry a 3-year-old child.
Hassan,
because Isaac did that.
Okay? This is the question. It's exactly that question. Hassan Syed. So you get to respond, but I just want to read this question. They said, Hassan Syed says, why does Islam think that a man in his 50s, namely Muhammad, having sexual relations with a 9-year-old is okay, but listening to music is bad? How is music worse than child molestation?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll answer the issue concerning music, right? Okay, so personally, I personally don't have any problems with music. Okay.
Because that's totally legal.
Can you let me answer? Come on. My God. I mean, you're afraid of a miswak. Let's not forget that, okay? So, going back to the issue, okay, about music, right? So, I personally don't have any problems with it. Okay, there are many fakes, what we call khilaf, okay, differences of opinion regarding music. So I follow that school of thought where music is not haram, it's not banned. I listen to music all the time, and in fact I listen to Eminem. Okay, Eminem is one of my favorite singers. Okay, hip hop rappers. Okay, so I have no problems with music. So like I said, the issue is in dispute among different Muslim communities. Some Muslims say that it's banned, some say it's not, some accept it, some it's not. So it's across the board. Okay, but in my school of thought, it's allowed, and there's no problem with it. And I think music is something which is natural and human, okay, to enjoy. Okay, it's like eating. Okay, it's food for the soul. So without music, how will we go through life, okay, without music? Okay? I can't imagine a world without music. Okay? So coming back to the issue regarding the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam marrying Aisha. So, carrier Islamophobes, they take this out of context. So they say, oh, the Prophet married a 6-year-old and he consummated the marriage at 9. Therefore, your Prophet is a pedophile. But no, that's not true because you take it out of context. And during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, no one ever complained about it. Okay, no one ever questioned it. No one ever derided him for it. It was an accepted, practice in the Middle East, especially we are talking about 1,400 years ago, by the way, right? So, many cultures practice this, okay? And let's not forget in the Bible, Isaac married a 3-year-old Rebecca, okay? Rebecca was 3 years old.
Show me where it says in the Bible that Rebecca was 3 years old.
And check it in the Talmud, okay, for yourself. Okay, I'm not.
You just said in the Bible. Show
Please
me where it says in the Bible.
Don't interrupt me. Okay, please don't interrupt me, Miss What afraid. Okay, you're afraid of me. You want me to hit you with this? Okay.
So you make claims, and I ask you to back them up. Where does it say in the Bible that she was 3 years old?
Let me finish first. Okay, so Rebecca was 3 years old, and Isaac married Rebecca when she was 3 years old. And you don't see Islamophobes talking about it because you know why? Because they are haters. They hate Islam. So if the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, was doing something which is normal during his time period. Okay, I mean, come on, back in those days, people were herding sheep, and it was an agricultural society. So, women were expected to get married when they reached puberty, and Aisha fit the bill. Okay, she was, she reached puberty when she was 9. Okay, so that is why the Prophet waited 3 years. Let's not forget the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam married Aisha when she was 6 years old, and he waited for 3 years before he consummated the marriage. Why do you think he waited 3 years? If he were a pedophile, he could just sleep with her at that moment. Okay, so this issue was, I recall, learning about this issue back in 1999, 2000. I mean, it was back then the internet was Wild West, so there wasn't many people, talking about it, but it came from there.
Pretty quick here.
Yeah.
Can I respond to this issue because I think it's a very crucial thing. It's an extremely
as long
crucial
as we
thing.
don't get too bogged down because we do have some more questions.
Yeah, if you're going to respond to it, then
first off,
can I have the last? Sorry. James, can I have the last say after that?
Yes.
So bringing up the Bible is of course a very nice deflection. There is no source in the Bible which actually says that Rebecca was 3 years old, but we established that already. The issue is Muhammad was 50-something years old when he married a 6-year-old girl and consummated the marriage, meaning had sex with her, penetrated her. A 50-year-old man when she was 9 years old, taking her to bed, a little 9-year-old girl and having sex with her. That is your perfect human being prophet. It is not some random guy who lived in an environment in the stupid 7th century Arabia where people didn't know how to live. It is supposed to be your perfect moral guide for all mankind, who should not be affected by his environment and what people do, but rather should set an example for all mankind to follow. And what he does is to take a little girl to bed and penetrate her when he is an old man, and you cannot bring me a single source in which it says that that was only something of that time, which is why Muslims today, like Daniel Kikichu and maybe probably you, say that it's entirely acceptable. So finally, do you think or do you not think that according to Islam it is acceptable to marry a 9-year-old girl and have sex with her right now in today's time? If not, based on what? Go ahead.
Yes, as usual, you conflate issues. Okay, I have written an article a long time ago refuting this accusation about Aisha radiallahu anha. And okay, first of all, let's establish certain things, right? First of all, did Aisha ever complain about her marriage to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Did she ever do that? Okay, was she ever abused, mistreated, derided, or whatever it is that you think that she suffered through? Was she happy with the marriage? That's number one. Who are you to be speaking about our mother or the believers, Aisha radiallahu anha, on her behalf? Okay, when she hasn't made any complaint. Okay, that's one thing. Secondly, okay, as I've said earlier, the Prophet was living 1,400 years ago. It was a normal practice back then. Okay, I mean, nobody was complaining. I mean, until, people like Ridvan here, like Aidemir here, came along and, repeated the lie that was only concocted in the 19th century by this Orientalist. Okay? I don't recall his name at the moment, but he was the first person to accuse the Prophet of doing something sexually questionable to Aisha radiallahu anha. Okay? So the Prophet was just a man who was living, in those times, in that age. So obviously he has to conform with the traditions and the mores of his time. I mean, we're not saying that the Prophet is God. Okay. Yes, he's the best example of mankind to ever walk the earth. But that doesn't mean every single thing that he does, okay, that doesn't mean every single thing that he does is something that we should follow. For example, the Prophet rode camels. I mean, if that's the sunnah, is that what you're supposed to follow? I mean,
false equivalence. You did not answer the question. Thank you. Everybody sees it.
I did. I haven't finished. I haven't finished the answer.
Yeshua the King says, focus on Sharia because it quotes the Quran and the Sunnah, thus having the final ruling of interpretation, hence why your peaceful verses have been abrogated or done away with, like legally kind of no longer enacted, is what they're saying.
I really couldn't follow the question.
They're saying focus on Sharia because it quotes the Quran and the Sunnah, thus having the final ruling or interpretation. They're saying that Sharia transcends, or that it takes precedence or priority over the Quran and the Sunnah, and then says, hence why your peaceful verses have been abrogated. They've been done away with, and Sharia, which is less peaceful, they're saying, is king.
Is that question for me? Sorry.
Oh yeah, they're trying to say that that Sharia being kind of the proxy for Islam, or being kind of like what Islam is based on, is violent.
Well, the Sharia is part of the Islam. It's part of Islam anyway. It's derived from the Quran and Sunnah. So I really cannot understand why the dichotomy, because I mean, without the Sharia, you can't be a Muslim. So Sharia means a way of life or pathway that you follow. Okay, so if Islam says that you need to go to war for certain things, then yes, you go to war for certain things. So what? I mean, everyone has his own laws. Okay? Everyone has his own Sharia. Okay? Even the United States have their Sharia, which is the Constitution. So that's what basically Sharia means. Okay?
This one, Christianity is Unstoppable, says Sharia has hundreds of thousands of legal rulings ranging from topics like child marriage to apostasy. It's their version of the Supreme Court. Expose Sharia.
I agree.
Nemesis says, MENJ, you just won gold in the Victim Olympics. And Nadaverse says, why does we got that one. Yeshua the King says, told ya. We got that one. Franco. And there was just one last one that came in. Sunflower, thank you very much for your question. Says, Isaac is not the Messiah in Christianity. Jesus did not marry anyone, let alone a child. Don't compare Muhammad to anyone but Jesus. The difference is Muhammad is the perfect role model in Islam.
Yeah, of course. We believe in all the prophets. We believe that Moses was a prophet. Isa alayhi salam, or Jesus is a prophet. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet. So, I mean, we treat them all equally. We don't, distinguish between them. So, yeah, I mean, Jesus has his own pathway. He didn't get married. Yeah. So, what does that mean? I mean, does that mean that we Muslims, shouldn't get married too? I mean, our Christians shouldn't get married too? No, of course not. It depends on the situation of the time. Right? So, the reason why Jesus didn't get married was because of his situation, his circumstances. If it were, and we Muslims believe that in the last day, when Jesus comes down to earth, we believe in the second coming too. So we believe that when Jesus alayhi salam will come down to earth in the end days, he will get married and he will have children and he will pass away and he will be buried next to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what we believe as Muslims.
And he will kill the pigs and break the cross and go to war for the Muslims. And of course fight the Jews.
If you have a problem with an apocalyptic prophecy, I mean, you should read Revelations, okay?
Yeah, so I find it very funny that Muslims always claim to be very believers of all the prophets, but then you don't actually know anything about the prophets because you have no scripture which tells you about the lives of the prophets. You have a few prophets in the Quran,
We do.
of which the life stories are very short, cut very short in a very dumbed down way. You don't accept the Bible as a source. So.
This one coming from Zagros Ozcan says, AP, you've educated yourself well in these matters. It shows, referencing left and right, bam, bam. And you had a fan out there. Nemesis says, we got that one. Mark Reed says, resorting to violence to solve your problems does not make you strong. It makes you weak.
Yes.
Well, I think they're referring maybe to the back scratching stick that you were talking about hitting people with.
Or to Islam handling society with violence and that being justified because it's for our own good. But yeah.
What do you think, though, MENJ? I want to give you a chance to respond.
Yeah, thanks. So I guess was he talking about the miswak, the stick?
Oh, I think that's just my best guess. They didn't mention it, but I'm not sure what it might have been something else.
All right, James, never mind. I'll just cover it on the basis of whether he's talking about the miswak and also talking about the concept of violence in Islam. Yes, I'll answer both, right? So regarding the miswak, okay, which Idemir here is afraid of, okay, the little stick that I was shaking just now. So the miswak is only to be used during the last of circumstances. So there's, like I said, there are 3 steps towards doing that. So first of all, and also the reason is because, let's say, the wife is rude to the husband or being, basically what we call nushuz, okay, or disobedient to the husband. So the first step is to, first of all, admonish her. Then the second step is to separate your bed from her. And the third step and the final step is, if she still is disobedient, then you beat her with a stick, okay. The point is to humiliate her and to make her realize that it is wrong for her to be disobedient to the husband. It's really that simple. It's nothing to do whatsoever with violence, like what you see in American societies where, or in the Western world where, people have been beaten black and blue, okay, due to Western secular liberalism, right? So, second part of the question, which is violence in Islam in general. So, I mean, Islam doesn't apologize for this. I mean, basically, I think you have heard what Daniel Haji said about violence in Islam. So, we don't deny that violence exists in Islam, but it's not something which, you do at your whim and pleasure. We don't use it to oppress other people. We don't use it to force other people to come our way of life. We don't use it to, demean or humiliate people. We only use it if there are extreme circumstances as a very last resort. Okay. Like for example, let's say if a country is being attacked, for example, I mean, are you just going to, turn your right cheek and let your face be slapped? No. Of course, you're going to go to war. So it's that simple. Okay.
2 points to very quickly object. The Western world is actually statistically seen significantly by a huge gap more peaceful and has much less violence than the Islamic world, which is publicly available statistics known by everybody. And the other part is, yes, Islam does establish a system in which people, especially men, are turned into mentally weak guys in the name of establishing authority.
I mean, Jay, I'll give you a really short last word, then we got to go to the next one.
Yeah. So, again, the carrot Islamophobe is, conflating things again. So, it's not because men are weak, which is why we admonish the wife, because she's disobedient. And like I said, it's a last resort. So we try to avoid that. That is why the first 2 steps come into place before the final step, right? So usually it might, it might be resolved earlier than expected. So it doesn't mean that, we just go ahead and, beat the wife.
When this is empty,
I've got to do this. It's just we've got so many questions.
This is empty, so you use this.
This one from Zagros Ozcan says, Mr. Apologist, I ban you from the Eminem fan club. And Isam Aulad.
Sorry, can I respond to that? Yeah, can I respond? Yeah, I really love that rap god, by the way. So yeah, I mean, sorry, you can't ban me for Eminem, my Eminem. Okay.
This one from Isam Aulad Ali says, how come Allah did not preserve one interpretation of Islam and the Quran and rather allowed hundreds of different sects with different interpretations?
Well, it's the nature of humans to distort and change and reinterpret the message which God has sent to us, which is why we have so many religions in the world. Okay? It's not just Islam, which is divided into many sects. It's also Judaism, it's also Christianity, it's also Buddhism, it's also Hinduism. Basically all religions in the world suffer from this. And it is it's imperative upon the person to, of course, study the religion and learn the right path. It's really that simple. So, I mean, I've dedicated myself to studying religion. So yeah, I mean, I rediscovered religion back in my teens. Back then I wasn't really that religious, but later on, okay, thanks to people like Ademir here, before him, that is, I realized that Islam needs a response. And I decided to learn my religion again, and that is why I'm able to refute people like him. And I intend to make this a career, okay, for until the end of my time, to stop people like him, okay, from spreading their filth about Islam.
You're doing a fantastic job.
This one coming in from, do appreciate it, Ray Cosby. Says, Muslim apologist, what would you add to the Quran to stop followers from attacking blasphemers?
I don't have to add anything. It's already in the Quran and Hadith. So yeah.
You got it. And let me just double check. I think we've gotten to the end of the question list. Want to say thanks so much for being with us. We really do appreciate it, folks. It's been a great show. Thanks for all of your support. We're at 374 likes. We can easily get to 400 likes, folks, if you haven't hit like yet. That will help this debate be seen by more people, as really YouTube does recommend it more, and it's more likely to get ranked. In other words, more people are more likely to see this debate if you hit like. So if you thought your side won, you thought your side was more persuasive on this particular question, hey, great reason to hit like, as more people will see this debate. But want to say, most of all, thank you so much. Muslim Apologist and Apostate Prophet, it's been a true pleasure to have you guys with us tonight. Folks, they're linked in the description. Want to remind you, you can learn more about their views, and that includes if you're listening via the Modern Day Debate podcast, as all of our debates end up on the podcast, and we link our guests in the description box there as well. Thank you very much, Muslim Apologist and AP.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, and stay away from Islam.
Have a great rest of your night, folks. I'll be back in just a moment to let you know about juicy upcoming debates, of which we have plenty coming up, so stick around for those updates.